so broken. I've got to repair this, right? I'm so traumatized. I got to fix my trauma. I got to treat it. I got to treat it. I got to treat it. Again, this is all doing. And there is a use to doing, a time and a place for doing, right? Just like if you go to the gym, hi YouTube, you made it to the party. If you go to the gym and you're trying to build muscle, there's a time and a place to go to the gym so you can build muscle, because that's what you can do there. But we also need to make sure that we allow ourselves to rest when we are building muscle. So it's the same concept, but taken out of the gym and into mindfulness, because oftentimes in mindfulness, again, it's this like kind of pressure that we create of expectation and judgment about how we should do it, and we're worried if we're doing it right or wrong, and we're worried if we're getting the right tools, or if we're saying the mantra correctly, or if we're culturally appropriating by holding a mudra. Like, there's so many but there's actually a great deal available underneath that. That's simply showing up for yourself. Baby one, since I'm technically a focal point for healing, how do you separate yourself from other people's emotions? Lots of practice. Does it ever seep into my thoughts? Lots of practice. Sometimes, yes, people's energy definitely gets into my space, but the reality is that I've been working with energy since I was little. Officially since I was 7, but a little bit before that as well. So I've done a lot of intentional work on figuring out the difference. Yeah, practice. It's just time and practice. Learning the difference, learning how to tell the subtle difference between what's mine and what somebody else's, learning how to release it, learning how to keep my channels open so that when somebody does send something to me, you guys know one of my favorite stories is about the monk sitting in the marketplace. The monk is sitting in the marketplace doing his regular meditation. He comes out once a week and he sits in the marketplace, eyes half open, watching the comings and goings of the square. And this particular day, there was a gentleman who did not approve of what he was doing. He did not like what he was doing. And so he went and told the monk that he didn't like what he was doing. But the monk continued his meditation. So the man became more and more and more agitated and began raising his voice and saying nasty things and getting really irate with the monk, until finally he yells, "Do you not understand English? Can you even fucking understand what I'm saying? What the hell's wrong with you? Are you stupid?" Right? And finally the monk kind of chuckles and opens his eyes the rest of the way, and he looks at him and he says, "I can hear you. I simply choose not to receive the gifts that you are offering me." And this is where mindfulness comes in. When I am aware in the present moment that someone is offering me a gift and that I have a choice whether to receive it, then I stand squarely in that captain's place and say, do I want to go down this road? Do I want to catch this wave and ride it with that person? Not particularly. I'm enjoying my little still pool here. So you can come by and you can be airplanes flying over, and I can still stay in my Zen space without having to take on the energy or the emotions or the whatever it is that you're trying to give me or get me to engage in. But that's what so many, I talked earlier about how lower chakra trauma, I feel like, is really pervasive. And I feel like that is also, it's so pervasive for us to fight for finite resources in the illusionary world, in the matrix world, in the external world, as well as within our energy body, and within our relationships, and within our jobs and friendships and all this stuff. We are literally, many of us are literally exchanging all of us are literally exchanging our finite energy. I think the only people who are not doing any of that are probably people who are sitting there at the apex of their spiritual journey. We are all doing the exchange stuff. Some more unconsciously than others. And that was been my kicker, is I never wanted to be unconscious about it, because if I was unconscious about it, I could do nothing about it. And it would continue to perpetuate suffering in my life or pain in my life until I was able to address it. Probably my biggest fear is that there is some unconscious thing happening in my mind map, right? That is leading me down the wrong path again and again and again and again. Baby one, does guilt ever come with the new changes I've made since others don't understand it? It used to. There was a really big part in my journey where I had a lot of guilt, and I tried to step off my path. But it actually ended me up in some really awful situations, and ended me in a relationship that nearly took my life about 3 years ago. So the guilt then turned into guilt and shame about how I had denied my truth and my path and myself for so long, and to such a degree that I nearly lost my life. So a little more than 3 years ago, I stepped squarely in the middle back on my path, and I said, that's it. I became committed to my path, and that's it. No guilt. There is no guilt in choosing my authentic expression, because only that is going to lead me to the places that I want to be, so that I can do the things I want to do. Do I want to help other people? Do I want to hold space and, give people these tools and guide people through their journey? Abso-fucking-lutely. If I could wave a magic wand, I would fucking save the world, right? But I can't. So I have to live as authentically as I can. I have to be, the quote has always been something that, I'm surprised it's not tattooed on me, because it's been a quote that I have held close to my heart my entire life. Be the change. Stop worrying about everybody else's change, pocket change, and count your own. Know what you have. Make your shifts. Those are the most valuable to you. Who gives a fuck what somebody else is doing, unless it's immediately cumbersome, right? Like, to your journey. If somebody is literally blocking your path somehow, you got to find a way around it and out of it. Yes, you're very welcome, Michelle. Okay, YouTube is shit. YouTube stopped working. Aw, man. Okay, I will put the replay. I will post the replay from here, because TikTok copies it. And I don't know why. YouTube's not working. Not receiving enough. Shit. Okay. So, let's go ahead and get into our meditation. Thank you very much for the reminder, Michelle.
Right on time.
Okay. Our mudra for the week. YouTube is shit. Okay. Our mudra for the week is the mudra. Yes. Hi, Steven. We are having some issues with YouTube, so I apologize if it's touch and go. We're just about to start the meditation, so hang out. Good timing. Okay, our mudra for this week is the Ashvaratna Mudra. The Ashvaratna Mudra. It's done like so. Bring your palms together. Keep your pinkies and your ring fingers touching. Keep your thumbs touching. Separate your index and your middle finger and interlace them. Hey, Disha, how are you? This, perfect timing, Noah. Perfect timing, y'all. Share it with folks who would like to sit with the meditation if you want to share for a second, because we're about to get into it. We're doing the mudra right now. We're going to get into our meditation, and this is going to be a juicy one. It's Saturday. It's the good meditation today. All right. So once you have your fingers in this position here, you want to create just a little bit of space inside the palms. Create the space. You can also separate the base of the palms. Either way, anchor it here at your chest. Do what feels most comfortable to you. I will tell you that I personally like this, keeping the base of the hands together and creating the space between the palms. Remember to bring and keep intention in your mudra. We don't hold it with tension, so you're not squeezing your fingers. You're not trying to pop your other fingers this way, right? And while we're sitting in meditation, we want to keep the intention here. We don't want our mudra to collapse. I don't want this thing to become this thing while I'm sitting in meditation, right? How do we keep our intention here? Is we bring our attention back to it again and again. So I will cue several times for you to check on your mudra. Feel free to check on your mudra if you suddenly realize it's collapsing, check on it and bring the intention back to it. Remember, anchor it here on your chest. The name for this, Ashvaratna, translates to horse jewel or most excellent of horses or jeweled horse. Gives you that idea of what this mudra is for, or is the energy of this mudra. So anchor it at your chest, and we're actually not going to close our eyes just yet for the meditation. We're going to start the meditation with our eyes open, but we are going to start with 3 deep breaths. And I always close my eyes during the deep breath, so feel free to do so if you'd like to. Find yourself a comfortable place to sit. You can also be laying down. You can also be walking. You can also, if you're driving, obviously don't take your hands off the wheel, and obviously don't close your eyes, okay? All right. Anchor the loom. So go ahead and begin with 3 deep breaths. Inhale through the nose, pulling the breath into the lungs and down into the belly. And sigh it out. Inhale again, lifting the heart and elongating the spine. And sigh it out, allowing the shoulder blades to melt down the back. Inhale once more, expanding the rib cage in all directions, front, sides, and back. Big deep breath and hold at the top. Take in a little more air. A little more. See if you can fit just a little more. And let it go. Yes, they've already had their breakfast. Go ahead and seal the lips and begin breathing through the nose, just through the nose, inhaling and exhaling through the nose. Allow the breath to find a comfortable, steady rhythm. Take a few moments here with the breath. Remember, the most important part of meditation is your intention and your attention. Our intention right now is just to follow the breath, and we rest our attention on that practice. Anytime the mind monkeys get busy, or the body gets uncomfortable, or tension in the breath or anywhere else manifests, meet it with curiosity, but also bring your attention back to the practice. This is not the time to go down a rabbit hole thinking about why you suddenly had that emotion or that thought. Let it all rise and fall the same way your heart rises and falls on your breath. Let the breath sink you deeper into the here and now. Begin engaging your senses. Tune into the sounds in the room around you. Notice the smells in the room around you. Notice the feeling of your skin and the atmosphere, the air around you. What does the air feel like on your skin? Go ahead, if your eyes are closed, go ahead and gently open your eyes and begin looking around your space. Take a few moments here, slowly, not catching your vision on anything in particular, just observing your space in fine detail. Give it your full attention. Watch the different colors, different shapes, but look at it with curiosity. Maybe like it's the first time you've seen it, but looking at it from an observer perspective of new. Now. Fully here and present. Fully engaged with the experience of here and now. Bring your senses in, all of your senses, and observe your space. Observe your space, creating a picture in your mind, creating a kind of memory, looking for all the little details so that when you close your eyes again, you can see this in your mind's eye. You can see your space. Take a few more moments. Really soak it up. all those little details. Keep breathing slow and steady. Every little detail. Every little detail. I don't care how many times you've seen this room that you're in. It is now new to you, and you've got to look for every little detail. Take your time. When you feel complete, you feel like you've got a pretty good picture of your space, go ahead and close your eyes. Open your mind's eye and see the space you've just observed. See the space exactly as it is in the here and now. Again, if you can't visualize, just set the intention. Set the intention to see the space in the here and now in your mind's eye. Don't worry about the details. Don't worry about it manifesting perfectly. Don't worry about any of that. Set the intention and let it manifest in your mind's eye. Keep breathing slow and steady. Give it a few moments to materialize in the mind's eye. Sometimes it might flicker in and out. Again, just trust and set the intention. And bring your attention back to the visual, back to the practice, and as many times as it takes. Focus your attention in the mind's eye. As you're viewing this space, I want you to notice the big, strong, beautiful horse that is standing in the middle of your space. Did you see that? Funny that you missed it with your eyes. Keep them closed. Your mind's eye can see more. Allow it to materialize. Allow it to become just as real as every other detail in the room that you observed. Just as real. As it begins to materialize more and more and more, you notice the wings at its sides, and it gestures, shaking its head, tossing its head, gestures for you to come and climb onto its back. Doesn't matter what state your body is normally in, this process is easy. You slip quickly, efficiently onto the horse's back, and the horse takes flight. Take a moment to experience the wind in your hair, on your face, on your skin, with all of your senses. Feel the muscle of the horse beneath you, arms wrapped around its neck or out in the air. However this works for you, bring all of your senses to the experience. Bring all of your senses to this horse, lifting you up out of the space that you are in. Observe this whole scene. Up, out of the space, out of the room that you began in, and flying through the sky on the back of this strong, powerful horse. Take a few moments. Sink into this space. Use all of your senses. What would the air smell like? That high up. What would the wind feel like on your face? Blowing through your clothing, your hair, your skin. And as the horse travels through the sky, you gaze down at the earth below, and for the first time realize that it looks like a map. It looks like a map on the ground beneath you. And you recognize all of the points on the map as different behaviors, goals, decisions, choices, life events, ones that have passed already and ones that will come in the future. You see every connecting road, bridge, stairway, slide that brings you from one place to the next, from one event to the other. And you see that some of these bridges are completely burned down. Some of these stairs are missing a few steps. Some of these roads have huge potholes in them. Some of these destinations are on fire. Some of them are beautiful temples. Some of them are long, winding country roads. Some of them are beautiful strolls in the park. Allow all of it, the good, the bad, the ugly, the right, the wrong, the past, the future, to all exist on this map below you. Keep breathing. Stay focused. Look below, observing this map, until something jumps out at you. If nothing jumps out at you, don't worry about it. If something jumps out at you, or out of you, I invite you to follow it. I invite you to visit that part of the map. I spend several minutes allowing you to explore this space as you continue to breathe. The only thing your body is doing is holding this mudra and continuing with the slow, steady inhales and exhales, while in your mind's eye you explore the map of your life, past, present, future, day, night, right, wrong, mistakes, failures, successes, and joys. You may find yourself just observing the map, and that's okay. You may find yourself dipping into different parts of the map. Just observe. Observe with curiosity and willingness. The horse may take the lead. The map may reach up and grab you. Keep breathing. Without attachment, without fear. Meeting everything with curiosity and willingness. Keep breathing. Meeting anything that comes up with curiosity and willingness, without attachment, without fear, without guilt. This beautiful winged horse staying with you, taking you from place to place, never leaving your side. If you think you've lost your horse, I promise you it's right behind you or right beside you. Big, deep, steady breaths. Check in quickly with your mudra. Elongate your spine, lift your heart, relax your shoulders, release any tension in the body, and continue to breathe. Return to the practice. Allowing the scene, allowing these to manifest behind your mind's eye, within your mind's eye, without trying to control or change it. Be present with the experience. Keep breathing. Stay with the images in your mind's eye, allowing them to manifest however they manifest. Just bearing witness, meeting it with curiosity and a willingness to hold space. Bring your intention back to your mudra, to your posture, and bring your attention back to the map in your mind's eye. You may stay with this meditation as long as is available to you, and I highly encourage you to stay with it if you have more time. When you feel complete, before you leave this space, I invite you to release the mudra and lay both hands over your heart. Here within your heart exists a little pouch. And in that pouch, the horse has brought you a gift. There's a gift here. You may already know what it is. Maybe you don't know what it is yet. That's okay. This gift is going to help you better navigate the map. It's going to help you find the places that need repair, that need your attention and care. This gift is now in your heart. There's no way you can lose it. No way anyone can take it. It's here and available whenever you need it. I invite you to bring your hands, either leave your hands over your heart or bring them together into prayer in gratitude for this gift, in gratitude for this practice, in gratitude for this inner space that we have available to us, and in gratitude for this external space that we cultivate together. Offer yourself some gratitude, of course, for taking the time for self-care today. I'm really fucking proud of you, and I hope you feel it too. And thank you for joining me and helping me cultivate this CAYA space where we can show up just as we are, learn and grow and thrive together. When you're ready to come out of meditation completely, please do so slowly. Offer yourself wiggles and stretches. Don't open your eyes unless you're certain that this is the reality you want to come back to. I think I might go back to flying with the horses. Oh, Beth, honey, I'm sorry. Patriot, yes, it is a Class A RV. Nova, you're very welcome. This is, again, the mudra for perspective. You're very welcome, Noah. Yeah, baby one, absolutely. You can ask questions. Anyone know what's in their pouch? Ooh, Beth, interesting. You had a white cloud show up around your friend who's in the room. You just literally can't visualize them. Oh, Beth, that hurt your back to pull in more air. It's releasing tension. First, you never lost your horse. Fantastic. Thanks, Josh. Nova, you were crying. Yeah. That's release. That's space. That's creating space. Remember, this is the mudra for perspective. Here it is again. You got a rock, TJ? Me too. I usually get rocks. You're very welcome, Deja. You guys are so sweet. Spirit wanders. What vegetables can you plant in Delaware right now, or is it too late? I have no idea. Good luck. Neither of my thumbs are green. This thing has been my... Yeah, I'll do indoor plants because I can, like, randomly water them and they'll survive. Okay. So, this is the mudra for perspective. The mudra for perspective. This helps us gain perspective in our lives over everything, right? Everything. Bring your palms together. Keep your pinkies and your ring fingers and your thumbs connected. Interlace your index and your middle finger. Open up the inside of the palm to create a little space and anchor this right here at the heart or on the chest. It doesn't need to be really at the heart in particular. Always feel free to explore with your mudras. If you're doing this and you feel called to drop it into your lap, try it out. This is a really powerful mudra, and I find that this one is really, really effective quickly. If you're sensitive to like energy movement, this one moves energy really quickly. Baby one, you had your pouch had scissors and a pencil. Ooh, are you remaking your map? You did have some tears, and you did feel the space. You felt called to put it up to your third eye. Nice. Yeah, explore that. Feel free. Like, play with that kind of stuff. Again, remember that when you're playing with these tools, make sure that you are also honoring your own boundaries and your own your wellness, and noticing where, if I'm doing a mudra, for example, I was messing around with the Apana mudra, and I tried to do the mudra after I had eaten, and that was an immediate regret. I sat with the mudra for just a few minutes. I didn't even make it to 5 before my gut went bleh. I was like, oh shit. That's bad. So be mindful of the mudras. Pay attention to how you're feeling and whatnot. Do I like tea? Yes, I like tea. Baby one, you recentered your intention again, but never saw what was on your map, but you were drawn to the center. So what we see in this space, and this is why I say don't worry so much about all the details, is because everything that we see in this space can have a reason or an explanation, can have a message in it for you. But some of it is also just the mind manifesting these things for you. The reason we use a map is this, right? The brain is wired by these things called synapses. And these synapses are what get developed when we learn to do anything. To walk, to talk, to breathe, there's probably a synapse for breathing. For everything we do, personality things, choices, behaviors, all of these things we develop synapses for. And it's kind of like a map. Some of these synapses are like roadways that have, that connect to really bad locations or that get you to a really bad location, right? We can look at this map like some of these roadways, some of these pathways we've created are not the most effective. When we talk about like our emotional states being immature, or we're being stuck at like a 5-year-old stage or a 10-year-old stage or a teenager tween stage, right? These emotions are going to manifest at that age. So what we can then look at is, oh, that road that gets me from, let's use the Starbucks example, right? A 50-year-old woman in the Starbucks throwing a tantrum because she got the wrong milk. What's the road that she's trying to pass through? Was that her request was not heard, right? Her request wasn't heard, and somebody didn't satisfy her need after she requested it. Sounds like some insecurity, confidence, self-esteem, control issues that we have, a deficiency, potential deficiency, or potential excess because of imbalance that's created here. So that pathway is going to keep repeating the energetic and emotional pattern until we find the tools to shift this pathway. How do I do that in real time? That's the mindfulness stuff, where I feel the rage episode popping up, even though it's just a little thing about milk. I feel it happening. I have to be the captain enough to pause and say, oops, we're headed down a broken road again. We're headed down a road that gets us to a place that we don't want to go. We have to stop at some point, at any point on your path, on that road, that emotional stuff, right? You've got to have the awareness to stop for a second and look around and go, wait, where am I? What is around me? Where am I headed? Where does this usually lead me? Is that where I want to go? Burt Reynolds soap dish. This is we call it a CAYA space, come as you are. And it is a space where we show up with curiosity and willingness. We cultivate a safe space for everyone to appreciate and have fun with the space. If someone cannot be personally responsible and respect the space, the collective space, and has the need to be obtuse, you will be ushered out of the space by being muted. So I guess I'll go ahead and do that since you're not hearing anything. That's okay. That's okay. Right, guys? Okay, so would you say what I said about the desert can mean what you stated? What did you say about the desert? Maybe I missed it there. I didn't see the desert part. You're very welcome, guys. This is something that we can all cultivate. And the amount of autonomy that we generate when we start to take that power back, when we start to stand in that locus of control, when we start to really examine our behaviors, our choices, and fully take responsibility for them. Right? Like, this isn't about blame or shame or guilt or any of that. Those are dense emotions that pull us out of balance. We can be curious and willing, hey Noah, and accept the things that are arising without the need to blame and shame ourselves for them. Oh, baby, when you said that when you're thinking or feeling the space, you saw yourself standing in the desert on a horse looking around. Yeah, the spaces. So I mentioned before dream journeying, this process of dream journeying, which is really similar to what we just did here. The process of dream journeying invites you into the subconscious space with an intentional conscious practice. And we go and explore the space, but we allow it to manifest however it manifests. So this becomes your inner landscape. I use the map because we're going to revisit that map. If you and I were doing one-on-one sessions together and we were doing dream journeying and this was the tool that we were using, we would have several sessions and we would explore the different areas that manifest for you. You may find that there is a familiar place that manifests often. You may find that depending on your intention, you go certain places. You may find that when you're going in, when you're in different moods, that inner space is going to look differently as well. So it's more, again, about meeting it with curiosity and willingness, right? And just appreciating what manifests in the space and revisiting that space. If you want to explore that space and really get to know it, keep a journal and revisit it over and over and over again and start to find what's familiar. This map is always there. Your horse is always there. When I do dream journeying, we don't really create, but we find our airlock space. So this airlock space is a space that we first go into in the dream journey process. And when you sit in this airlock space, it's the first thing we do, like literally for several sessions. We sit in this airlock space and explore the airlock space before you go anywhere else. This airlock space is like your, safety container, capsule, pod sort of thing. No matter where you go in the subconscious space, it is always right behind you. We set this up, I set it up this way, that way when you're doing the internal exploration, if you find something or someone that is scary or too much or feels dangerous and you're like, oh shit, how the fuck do I get out, right? This isn't like a hypnotizing thing, right, where I have to pull you out by something. You have the capacity to back the fuck out and get out of whatever you're going through without causing damage and without bringing other energies back. Yes, there are energies, there are ego parts of self, there are parts of self that can come back with you, which is why we usually do it. Yeah, if we're going to go deep dive dream journeying, we create the airlock space. So no matter what you go and see, you can always get out. Yeah, absolutely. It's a practice actually that I don't know. I, I don't like saying I created, because I'm sure I didn't create it. I'm sure other people do the practice and do it similarly or call it different things. But I started doing this practice actually after listening to one of Thich Nhat Hanh's talks many, many years ago, where he talked about how he had lost his grandma several years earlier and was just having a moment over tea that he remembered a really horrible conversation that they had had and how he had really hurt her feelings. And in that moment, he was feeling like he wishes he could go back and apologize to her, and that she wasn't gone so that he could make it right. And in that moment, of course, he laughed at himself and realized time is just an illusion. Time is just relative to the observer, right? So I can. And he sort of explained a similar process where he just kind of created the space in his mind's eye and went and sat down with his grandma and had the conversation he needed to have. And I was like, ooh, I wonder how we could get like really deep into that, because, you know, there are conversations I'd like to have with people who aren't here, or people who I can't sit safely across the table with and talk to. So it's a thought game, um, while also engaging the subconscious and emotional self. He forgave himself, exactly, TJ. But that's the exploration, right? We can use meditation and mindfulness practices to put ourselves literally across the table. It's the same thing as I was talking about yesterday with my guides, with my round table, right? Yoda sits at my round table, and Mrs. Brisby sits at my round table, and Rosa Parks sits at my round table. Like, these are not people I have, some of them, ever spoken to, but they still sit at my round table and they still offer me advice. And the longer I have cultivated my relationship with them within me, the wiser their advice seems to fucking get. And either it's, you know, a manifestation of a wiser self of me, or somehow I'm accessing a wisdom from elsewhere. It doesn't matter to me. What matters is that I can sit at that table and I can discuss difficult decisions, hard choices with these energies, with others, and receive guidance and insight. Again, it doesn't really matter to me whether or not I'm really talking to Yoda, because it's about the outcome. It's about what I receive from it. Lissy, isn't that just an illusion as well? Absolutely. And that's what I mean, like, with, we don't, like, I don't think that we are really intended, at least at this moment, or along the journey, at this point along the journey, to completely detach from the illusion, because we can engage in the illusion in a way that benefits us exponentially. Beth, what about keeping those out that weren't invited? That is a practice. That is a huge part of the journey. And that's something that I've had to cultivate too, with these different parts of my characters, right? My pirate ship. There are characters that won't go away. And I found that I had to develop a relationship with them. Those are usually the characters that I haven't been paying attention to. Those are usually the characters. TJ, do I combine meditation with this philosophy? Yes, this is a mindfulness meditative practice. Spirit Wanders, my round table was just people I didn't know but felt like I know them. Ooh, I like that. Lissy, you can't go back and ask your dad to forgive you, and you can't forgive myself. Here's one of my favorite quotes, my love, and I hope this lands softly. Argue for your limitations, and indeed they are yours. We argue for our limitations in a million ways every day. And oftentimes it's through little things like saying, isn't that just an illusion? Then why the fuck would I do it anyway? It doesn't matter anyway. Well, if you're not willing to meet it with curiosity and be willing to try and experiment with it, then you're right. You won't be able to access the benefit of it. And if you approach it with, it won't work, or it's not going to happen, or I can't do it, just like meditation. I always say, if you say, I can't meditate, please hang out in this space and try these techniques. Because this is simple, foundational stuff. It's not about perfection. It's about practice. It's about patience. It's about willingness, curiosity. Thanks, Ascended Archangel. I have ADHD. I meditate. These tools are the things that brought me out of addiction, that brought me out of emotional upheaval, that brought me out of psych diagnoses. These are the tools that have literally helped me heal from some of the most traumatic things in my life. And not, it wasn't the medications. I tried the medications. I tried the therapies. I tried a bunch of these Western ways to deal with it. And I often felt like it was dismissing parts of me, or it was causing more compartmentalization, which was causing me pain. I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia when I was in my 20s, and even the doctor was like, I've never met a 20-year-old who gets this diagnosis. You usually got to be a little older than that. And it was actually an energy worker that first showed me my map. He asked me, tell me what's the story of your life. Just give me a synopsis, give me an analogy, give me a story. What's the story of your life? Well, I feel like I'm climbing Mount Everest, and everything that I tell myself, every new lesson I learn is like a brick in my backpack. The more I learn, the heavier it all feels, and I feel alone, and I'm scared, and I'm cold, and every time I find a plateau, I think it's the top of the mountain, it's just another plateau, and the mountain just gets fucking steeper and steeper and steeper. And this man, bless his heart, because he didn't even smirk, and he said, well, maybe that's why your back hurts. Maybe that's why your body hurts. And it hit me like a train. I mean, I felt it hit me. What? What? He said, why does your journey have to be a mountain climb? Why does your path have to be a mountain? Can't you ride a boat down a river? He's like, why do your lessons have to be bricks? Can't they be feathers or even just bubbles floating away? And I sat there just probably in shock, right? Like, I'm a storyteller, I'm a really visual person, so this was exactly hitting the nail on the head for me. And I was just like, what, tell me more. And then he started talking about the map, and I understood, I already knew the thing about synapses, and so it makes perfect sense that we use the analogy of a map to talk about the mind and to talk about the personality and the different aspects of self. And when we're infants, we start at the very center. We start from the womb. And from there, we begin to build roads. When we're infants, the only roads we have available to us are to cry, scream, and squirm around, right? Maybe awkwardly move our limbs. That's it. That's all we got. So this is like little, any need I need to get met, I'm going to squirm around and make some sounds, and hopefully somebody will figure it out, right? This is how we build our first roads. Well, as we get a little older, we get more mobile. Now I can go get stuff. So now that road's going to expand, and it's going to change a little bit. Then I'm going to get a little older, right? I'm going to be able to verbalize more. And now my caregivers are requesting that I have to ask for things. I have to use my words. Fine. I'll build a new bridge that uses words to get me to the outcome I want, right? And this is how we construct our map. And this is also how we end up a 50-year-old in Starbucks throwing a tantrum, because that road isn't developed. That road is still whatever we built as a 5, 6, 10, whatever year old. Many of us don't even look at these things, and we just say, well, this is how I operate. This is who I am. Okay, but also you can adjust your map. You can change those roads. You can rebuild those roads. You can create entirely new pathways to get you to entirely new places. James, you're very welcome. Honestly, it comes from, I always joke that it's selfish, right? Or it's very self-centered, because it comes from my desire to practice these things. It's my desire for my own well-being, and what I have found that brings in that well-being is the stuff that I share. Because I think that it's imperative. Like, we should be accessing this in school. We should be taught this when we are children. Sure, you wanted to ask a question? Norberto? Bean a bee, bean a bee, bean a bay. Adult tantrum is just a child sitting in their trauma. Yes. Yeah, it's an adult sitting in the child self. That is what we mean by reactions, because the brain is wired, and through these mappings, to react to the same way as we have many, many times over. We can talk about it like a road, like a groove. Oftentimes, when I first started doing this work, the map really helped because I was able to see that really deep habits, ones that are really hard to change, ones that I've been doing for a really long time. I often visualize myself on a dirt bike trying to get out of a deep ravine. What would happen, right? In a slot with sand on both sides, you'd try to get up and out, and sand would knock you back down. It takes a lot of momentum and energy to get you out of these ravines that are so deep. But also, sometimes, this is what I found. That was what I was doing initially. And then I found that there's other ways to get out of the ravines instead of just trying to use sheer force to get up and out. Authentically me. Rewiring the mind is essential. You like my page? Thank you, my friend. Feel free to share, please. All the platforms hide or leave my content just sitting there because it's not divisive. It's not sensational. It might be radical. Teaching you how to take back your locus of control, teaching you the tools to keep you out of the manipulation cycles that the powers that be would have you stay in. If I could do anything, I'd wave a magic wand and I would give you all authenticity. I'd give you all awareness to find your authenticity. I wouldn't even give you authenticity. I'd give you the awareness to find it. And maybe the courage to be it. I wouldn't take away pain. I wouldn't heal the world's suffering or anything. I would just give you the awareness to find your authentic expression so that you can figure out what you want to do with it. Thank you guys, you're so sweet. Lake Place, you say you have no friends. Every relationship in your life turns into a huge conflict and you get ghosted. Being rejected nonstop is so painful, even by my mom, sisters, family, close friends, boyfriends, best friends, employers, just everyone. Do I follow Dr. Joe Dispenza's teachings? I have to. I don't. I'm not great with names, so I'll look and see if I know who you're talking about. But I always love to read other philosophers and other teachers that work with similar ideas and stuff like that, or have other concepts that are relative. I love to expand my knowledge base. But Lake Place, I know a lot of people are experiencing this sense of isolation right now, this sense of rejection right now. I had a really great conversation with a really wonderful, very close friend, and I said, I feel like maybe what's happening is that some of us, have had this experience of feeling like outsiders for a long time. And more recently, it's as if all of those of us who never quite fit suddenly are getting really rejected. And I think that it's really just a push for us to find what's truly for us. I think it's an opportunity. In my life, when the universe starts closing doors, it means other doors are opening. I often relate it to the birthing process. I used to be a birth doula. I did like nearly a decade of birth. But right before you're born, what is happening? But you are getting the fuck squeezed out of you. Right before you're born, your entire body is getting squeezed. So when life gives you a squeeze, it means you're going through the birth canal. It means you're moving through shift, through change. Lake Place, and it is about our belief. It is about our attention and our intention. It's about the stories we tell ourselves. It's about our self-talk. So you say just now, I want to believe that, but every door has been closing. So then believe it and start looking for it. The brain is self-confirming. The brain is really good at confirming what we tell it is true, what it thinks is true. So the more there's several practices. Oh my God, there's so many fucking practices, but I'll give you one of my favorites. One of the things that I do for manifesting the things that I want, the life that I want, for the community, that kind of stuff. When I feel like a lot of things are closing and I don't know where the doors that are open are, I go every single night and I walk around my space. Again, with mindfulness, with full intention and attention, fully present. This is the key to every one of these practices. Your attention is right here, and you keep your attention on your intention, whether that be to do a certain thing or not do a certain thing or to breathe a certain way. Doesn't matter what your intention is. Focus those two, your intention and your attention. Okay? Use those two to make your kind of magnifying glass on the present here and now, and then walk around your space, your entire space. Look at it all, again, like we did in the meditation, as if it's almost new. You haven't seen this before. Take your time to look. What is that stuff? What are these angles? Take a moment, look around, really absorb with all your senses every little bit of your space. Take your time, walk through your whole fucking house, look at the ceiling of the corners, stand on the couch and see different angles. Take all of your time. The more time and attention you give it, the more it will resonate within you. Do all of that, and then stand in the middle of your house and look around and cultivate yourself a kind of giddiness, like maybe Christmas, right? The night before Christmas, giddiness, the night before your birthday, the night before a huge event. I want you to look around with that feeling bubbling up inside of you and tell yourself everything is exactly as it needs to be. For whatever's coming, everything is set, everything is ready. And say it to yourself, say it out loud. Let it manifest chills rolling through you as you look around your space and tell yourself everything is exactly how it needs to be. Everything is ready. Everything is set. And I don't care if your dishes are dirty. I don't care if your laundry's on the floor. I don't care what else is in your space. I don't care what your judgments are or your shames or your guilts are. I want you to know that exactly as your space looks when you do this practice is exactly how it needs to be set up for the next things to occur. Yeah, good, Desiree. Don't judge the space. Don't tell yourself anything negative or wrong about it. And if you hear that voice, I love you too. I love you too, Mila. If you hear that voice who says, nuh-uh, it's fucking, what are you stupid? This is so stupid. Whenever you hear that voice, I want you to open your heart and put them in your heart. I'll just keep you safe in here. Come here, feel this. It absolutely is true. Pretend like you have the biggest secret in the entire world, and that secret is that everything in your life is exactly how it needs to be, so that the exact thing that you need is going to come tomorrow. Adam, you become a full-blown minimalist. All my stresses in life come from people-pleasing and buying stuff I don't need. No shit, right? Doing and being and buying stuff we don't need. Mila, what can we do when we cannot choose or when we don't know the answer? We're not always going to have the answers, right? And so a big part of acceptance is learning to acknowledge that it's okay that we don't have the answer. And it's a similar practice for me with answers. If I don't have the answer right now, I will sometimes use tools to ask answers like cards or meditation and things. And if the answer doesn't come, I struggle with decision making a lot of times. So if the answer doesn't come, I really just hold my hands out and just say, I am grateful to receive whatever arrives. We get really lost in our human brains sometimes, thinking that we are the total architect, complete masters, and all seers of our realities. But in reality, the universe is far wiser than us. The universe is far more expansive than us. We cannot hear and see and experience all that the universe is. Even in this matrix, I can't see the full spectrum of color. I can't hear the full spectrum of sound. Therefore, I am a very limited being. And sometimes we get really caught up in our desire to control and to manifest and to make our lives in our image, when sometimes it's more beneficial just to sit back and say, I am grateful to receive the beautiful, magnificent gifts that the universe offers me. That's how we practice gratitude, right? Yeah, we want to be grateful for all kinds of things, but really focus on being grateful for the things you didn't expect. You think what happens is that you're scared, and you're tired of being scared. You do deserve all the love and happiness. You're welcome, friend. And that starts here, though. That starts here. And that's the same thing to Lake Place friend up there, about rejection and about feeling alone, right? This is why we cultivate self-love. And honestly, I hate saying this because it makes me mad, but until you cultivate self-love, truly cultivate self-love, I don't think that we can really have a genuinely authentic relationship, loving relationship with another. And that's my opinion. Tyler, yeah. Give yourself permission to feel your feelings, and it's okay. Hold space for the feelings that come up. Hold space for the part of you that's feeling really rejected and sad. Be someone for that part of you. Instead of embodying it and saying, I am sad and I am rejected and everyone leaves me, and making it about I. Instead, shift a little bit and look at that part of yourself and say, I'm sorry you feel rejected. Because all of you doesn't feel rejected. Just some part of you feels rejected. So find that part, sit down and hold space. Give it a hug. Make it some chocolate cake. These parts of ourselves, oftentimes the ones that, these emotions, these ones that go, ooh, that really hurts when somebody says mean words to me. Or I really wish everybody would just love me no matter how I am, right? You know, these feelings that feel very immature like that, they are immature. And that's okay. And we can hold space for them and meet them where they're at, instead of trying to shame or blame or judge them. We shouldn't feel shameful for feeling alone, or guilty for feeling alone. But what do we do when we're feeling alone? Because we can't control other people. When I left the really, really difficult relationship that I was in a couple years, 3-4 years ago, whatever it was, I felt a great deal of guilt. I had put myself in a really bad situation, and I brought my son with me. It was a really unhealthy situation. And like I said, I nearly lost my life on more than one occasion in that relationship. So when I left, I felt alone and empty and stupid and weak and a lot of things. Unlovable, broken, all of those things. I felt so empty that all I had left was me. And I had to have conversations with me and go, this is it. You've got to figure out how to love yourself, or it's gonna kill you. It nearly did. Is that all you're worth? Is to be somebody else's disposable ex? Something someone uses until they're done using it and then kicks out, the curb. Is that who you want to be? Is that who you really are? Is that how you really feel about yourself? No. Yeah, well then why'd you let it happen? I didn't let it happen, right? This whole argument we go inside. So I started practicing what I called radical self-love. I was drinking really heavily and smoking really heavily, at least a 6-pack a day, almost a pack a day of cigarettes. I was using it as a crutch to deal with the emotional upheaval and turmoil and all the guilt from what I had been through and put my son through. And I also bitched at myself every single day about how much I was drinking and smoking. And I was trying to tell myself, I need to get back into yoga. You need to get back into eating healthy. You need to get back into doing these things. You know how this self-talk goes? I know I need to do this stuff, but I'm stuck in this state, in this emotional, deep, heavy energy. How the fuck do I get out? I can't change anything. I'm drunk already. You know what I mean? Like this, yeah. So, one evening, in desperation, I pat myself on the back. I was 6-pack and a half in and a whole pack of cigarettes. So I didn't have any for tomorrow, which is probably what I was pissed about. So I patted myself on the back. And at first, I was being an asshole. And I said, good job. Good job. You smoked a whole pack of cigarettes today. Good job. Good job. You had more than a 6-pack today. Good job. And then there was this little voice inside of my head that said, well, at least I didn't have a 24-pack. I mean, at least I didn't smoke 2 packs. And I'm grateful for hearing that voice because it shifted something in me and I stopped hitting myself and actually just kind of like put my hand on my shoulder and massaged my shoulder, rubbed my shoulder gently and said to myself from that perspective and said, good job. You only had a pack of cigarettes today. Good job. You only had, whatever it was, 8 beers or something like that today. And part of me, again, responded with like a fuck that. That's so stupid. You're going to fucking congratulate yourself for that shit. That's fucking retarded. And then the other part of me kind of had this softness to it, right? There was a relief, a small amount of relief, but some relief. And so the next day I did the same thing. I sat on the edge of my bed before bed and I genuinely hugged myself and I said, good job. You only had X and you only had that and you only yelled 3 times. You only yelled all morning instead of all day. Thank you, friend. Yes, it continued to feel stupid and to feel fake for some time. But it prompted me to start this practice of every day showing up for myself. Genuinely showing up for myself with love, with compassion. And that led into me making a commitment. I wasn't ready still to start doing yoga. I didn't want to do self-care. I hated myself. I didn't want to do self-care. Fuck that. So I made a commitment and I said, okay, 15 minutes every day. Thank you guys so much. 15 minutes every day. Go sit on your mat. And I would lay out my mat, and every single day I would spend those 15 minutes. I'd set a timer even, and I would force myself to stay on my mat for 15 minutes. Did I do yoga every time? Fuck no. Sometimes I danced. Sometimes I threw a tantrum, straight up, laying on my back, fists and feet, stomping and screaming on my mat. Sometimes I got to my mat drunk. Yep. Sometimes I got up and started fucking drinking. Oh, there we go. Oh no, violation for hate speech. I didn't. You guys. So do me a favor, everybody, share the live because they just restricted it because apparently what I was saying was hate speech. So share the live, would you please? So sometimes I would tantrum. Sometimes I would just listen to the negative self-talk without attachment, without needing to engage in it, right? I could still sit back and listen to what that part of myself was saying. You are so stupid. I can't believe you fucking did that. I can't believe how much of that guilt there was to go through. How much of that shame I had buried myself underneath. We were giving ourselves hate speech. Exactly. We were. Oh, Steven, I missed it here. What do you say? Love those goosebumps I get in my scalp. Holding back headaches. Seek out the goosebumps. Seek out the goosebumps. That's what the AI caught. Hi, for those of you who are new here, my name is Reverend Deborah. I am a movement facilitator and an interfaith minister, and I am your shenanigan shaman because honestly, it was shenanigans that brought me to my healing and these mindfulness tools. Do I have meditations online somewhere? So yes, yes. However, I really need somebody to help me edit content. I've got a ton, hours and hours. I mean, over a year of content. I've been teaching these classes online for more than a year now, and I have a YouTube channel. I am Move with Change on YouTube. I Move with Change on all the platforms you hang out, but my replays are on YouTube for up to a week. If you want access to my replay archive, you can grab a membership level 1 or above. I have a donation level membership, which is $5 a month, $5.55, and it's just like my basic support level. And I love you. Gratitude to everybody who is a subscriber at that level. I have an $11 one. That gets you access to the replay archive, plus it gets you VIP answers during lives as well as content creation. If you are a member on any level and you ask me a question in the live, or not in the live, but on one of my contents, or you send me a message and ask me questions in there, I will make content for you. Something you can download. The reason most of my content is on TikTok is because it's the only place that people can just download my videos. Otherwise, you have to pay for other memberships elsewhere. So I also have a podcast. All the links to all these things are on in my bio, my link tree. I'm Linktree at Move with Change. Oh my gosh, baby one, we should totally talk because I need somebody. Like I said, I have been doing this by myself since last November. I was partnering with somebody the year before that, or the remainder of the year before that, and unfortunately it wasn't a good long-term fit. So here I am doing it all on my own. And it's a lot of fun, but it's very fly by the seat of my pants. And yeah, memberships are on Patreon. If you have any questions about any of that, or you want links to anything, or you want to discuss anything with me, please reach out to me. If you would like a membership and the dollar bill is the thing that keeps you out of the membership, definitely reach out to me. You can't get a yes if you don't ask the question. And I highly value exchange and trade, well, much more than I do the dollar sign. However, I also do need to pay bills still. So I appreciate the memberships are available on Patreon. They are also available here on TikTok. However, I ask that you do bring yourself over to Patreon and do so, grab a membership there, because TikTok takes like 60% or more of what I make on here. Am I talking about memberships on YouTube? YouTube, you can go right now to Move with Change, youtube.com/Move with Change, and you will see me live, and you will also see a week's worth of other lives. I leave them up for a week. After that, there's an archive, and that you need a membership for. It's level 1, $11 a month or more. Those are available on Patreon, and it is available on TikTok here. I think they're cheaper right now on TikTok, but in September they're going to basically double, so that they can account for what TikTok takes out of them. If you don't want to change the price and you just want to go to Patreon and get the same price and stay that way to grab the membership, then that's your place to be. Again, everything's in my link tree. And we also have a Discord space too. So if you guys like the content and you like the discussion, the topics and stuff like that, come into the Discord. We can talk all hours of the day and night in there, and I can make content in there. You can ask me questions in there. I post other resources in there too, like images and cards for the mudras. I post meditations and recipes and things like that. The podcast has some old meditations on it. I haven't recorded meditations in a while, mostly because I'm a perfectionist and I want really good audio quality for the listening, for the guided meditations. It's one thing if we're here on the lives and it's just shenanigans, but if you're listening to the guided meditation, I'd like it to not have weird shit in the background. So that's my limitation on that, but I love guiding meditations, and I would love to put more. So if you are watching the channel and you want more meditations, tell me. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Trying to get all the platforms out just to get the information out. Spirit Wanderers, did that answer your question? to be able to see the meditations. Those ones aren't on YouTube. Hear the meditations podcast. There's different ones, but the only thing with YouTube is that these are sometimes a half hour to like 4 or 5 hour lives, so you kind of have to like dig through them to find the meditation, and I need to be either more reliable at doing it at 10:30, or I need to find somebody to edit these things for me, and so we can pull out the meditation and the practices. Jelly Toes, your therapist just recommended meditation. Nice. You're very welcome, guys. Lori, Discord overwhelms you sometimes. So again, I'm really looking for a developer. I'm looking for somebody to help me build an app, because ideally I want to get us off all the social media platforms and off of Discord so that we can have a truly safe space that we cultivate for ourselves without any other eyes looking in. Discord is still a public server, and there's still somebody else, people, right, who manage it. I don't want that. I want us to have our truly safe space so we can talk about things like how mindfulness and politics intertwine. So we can develop the tools to truly bring back your locus of control, your authentic expression, so that you can stop being manipulated by the powers that be. We live in a world that's heavy, 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 dense with manipulation. And again, that's, if I could wave a wand, I would give everybody their awareness back and the ability to choose back, their authentic expression back, so that you're no longer pushed and pulled and swayed by every little thing that comes across your feed or your TV screen, or, every little thing that happens when somebody says something off, or like, I would love watching everyone, again, like the way that I do too. What if you don't like doing debit card online? Do I accept money order? Yeah. I mean, you can also do like PayPal and things like that, Stephen, if you're asking. But I would also accept money orders. I have an address on my Patreon page. Watching everybody basically ping around like bumper cars or like, puppets on a fucking stage really, really infuriates me. I think it's probably one of the few things that I still harbor a really deep rage about the fact that we live in a world that regularly tells you to ignore everything that's true to you and give it all up, trade it all for false truths and manipulation and gaslighting and to be controlled. Like I have never wanted to be controlled. I don't like the idea of being a puppet. It makes me rageful. It makes me rageful. Admittedly, very angry. Very. Still working on that one. But, so it's one of those things that I wish that I could give to everybody, is the awareness to see the manipulation and to make choices. Because if you want to still do the things they're trying to manipulate you to do, then do them, but do them consciously. Did I ever set up an Amazon wish list? People were telling me I should create. No, I didn't. Mostly because I don't like Amazon. If I could find a wish list, I think there's a website to create a wish list. But yeah. Again, I'm trying to figure out how to do all of the financial and donation and membership stuff, and I know I should spend more time on it. But the truth is that it's the information I want to get out there. And if you feel compelled to support me via, getting me a thing I need, or putting a donation in the tip jar, or doing a membership, all of that's, I'm grateful for all of it, but it's not the focus. And I know that I have to also generate enough resources through doing this to support me and my son. And I'm doing that. I'm building that. We're on our way. But yeah, the anger is real, and a lot of us are feeling it. And that's why I want to give you these tools for free. That's why the platforms hide this stuff, is because what I'm giving you is the stuff that gives you the eyes to see and the ears to hear again. That allows you to step out of the divisive patterns and truly hold space for one another. Chelsea, I'm glad you did too, friend. Hi, Mystery. A puppy! That's my healer. Lori, sure are feeling angry about the attempted control happening in this country. Absolutely. So how do we change that? How do we change a system that thrives on being able to manipulate you by being unmanipulatable? And that takes practice. And that takes a willingness. That takes intent. That takes work. Practice. Time. Awareness. Courage. And that's the thing too, is there's also the piece of taking, so like, especially in this world we live in right now, a lot of us can feel the rage at like a system that doesn't support everybody, or we can feel the anger about a system that has clearly failed many of its citizens, or certain citizens and certain not other ones and whatnot. We can feel angry about that, and we can even feel weak and victimized in light of the system that is. Also, taking the next step to take control of your own choices and take responsibility for the choices you take stepping forward, instead of saying, I can't change anything, I can't get my power back, I can't move, I can't live like that because I don't have enough money, I can't eat like that because I can't go to whatever. All of that is just feeding more into being stuck in the system. It's got to be, at this point, it's got to be radical. It's got to be radical at this point. It's got to be, I will take full responsibility for every word that comes out of my mouth, every choice that I make, everything that someone else takes from me. To some degree, I got to give it. Obviously, barring somebody literally physically accosting you, right? We're not talking about that stuff. But we are talking about taking full responsibility. When anger comes up within me, it is anger rising within me, not somebody else making me do anything. Anger within me is a response that's triggered by both internal and external stimuli, really by how the external stimuli triggers my internal stimuli. Basically, it's my wiring. So this is about me. If it's about me, then I can address it, then I can shift it, then I can make space for it, then I can build a trusting relationship with it so that we can redirect that energy and use it in a way that's much more productive rather than just deteriorating myself. Lori, learning not to say I can't. A big part of my path back in probably my 20s or so was really working on the throat chakra, really working on what I now thank Destiny's Child for. Remember that song? Mean what you say what you mean what you say when you, something like that. I took it and use it now as my mantra. Say what you mean what you say what you mean when you say it. Every time. And if that means you're not sure of what to say, then maybe just don't say anything at all. We are so used to filling the space with our own thoughts and our own opinions and our own words that we rarely hear each other in the first place. So we're just talking at each other and over each other, bickering on opposite sides of the table, not really hearing either person's perspective and not valuing it at all. Oh yeah, I value your perspective, but only as long as it supports my story that I'd like to tell you about myself. Mean what you say what you mean what you say when you say it, and stop blaming anybody else for any word that comes out of your mouth or any emotion that rises within you. When I shift that, these become my shipmates. These become my friends, my family, my protectors, my army, my community, my wise counsel. And I no longer need to turn out because of a need for those things, but only for a desire to add to them. Like I said, it makes me really fucking mad. But I tell you, until you do the work to truly build a loving, trusting relationship with yourself, most of your relationships are going to feel like they fall short of that. And you're going to ask, why? Why do I keep going through the same relationships? Why do I keep not getting my needs met? Because you are not meeting them. I love you. This is the same conversation I had with myself a couple years ago. No one is coming to save you in here. No one can. It is uniquely your job. Mila, sis, the 20s are so painful. Like, Mother Ayahuasca, save me. Are you in your 20s, hon? I can't even imagine being in my 20s right now. I can't even imagine. I don't think I'd go back. To be that young and to be looking at the world as it is now. I hope that you have hope. Because I see hope every day. Your 20s were hell years too. Yes, Patriot. And may we use our words to bless ourselves and others. We let go of using words which curse us. My mother even did it years ago when she realized, she was like, you know, she'd stub her toe and she goes, that damn thing I stubbed my toe on, or whatever it was. The damn toe hurts, blah, blah. And she suddenly realized she was damning herself and all these things in her life. And so she suddenly was just like, oh, okay. So she changed it to blessed. That blessed toe, it hurts so bad. It was the most adorable thing because she's got this sweet little southern drawl, and so it was like, oh, my blessed toe, I done hit it on the side of the car when I was getting in. I was like, you what? You blessed what? She's like, well, I was tired of damning everything. Figure it wasn't great. Chelsea, I'll be 40 this year. I'll be 40 in September. Lori, in an abusive relationship with ourselves. Mila, good. Use that. Use the difficult stuff. Pain is what's going to happen. It's life. Accidents happen. Shit happens. Shit comes up and just smacks you out of nowhere, right? Pain happens. Suffering is when we choose to hold on to that pain. We choose to make it part of who we are instead of process it to transmute it, right? When we receive a gift or a lesson in life, we can hold it like that heavy brick, difficult thing, or we can place it in the incendiary of the heart and we can transmute it into self-love. We can transmute it into bubbles and feathers and light things that are not difficult to carry. It is when we decide that our grief is a huge wet blanket that we've got to trudge around everywhere with. And some days, you might feel like trudging around with your grief. But remember that you can just put that blanket down for a little bit and pick it back up whenever you're ready. That these are actually finite things. These are actually finite things. Emotions are finite. Sam Pace, Jesus is king? King of what? King of England? King of the mountain? King of the hill. He's king of the hill, isn't he? Can I repeat it? Oh, I'm sorry. Repeat what, my friend? Lori, you were listening to me yesterday and I said something about being your own captain. Can you repeat it? Yeah. Yes. So, the King of Kings? Which kings? How many kings do we have? King of the earthly kings? My pirate ship. Lori, I was talking about my pirate ship, and I'll talk about it here for a second. If you'd like to explore this topic deeper, and especially in terms of psychology theory, what I'm talking about is mirrored in internal family systems. It's called internal family systems, if you'd like to look it up. For me, I developed a pirate ship because I'm a storyteller and I'm a writer, and so I first had this, my first interaction really was with this analogy of the angel and devil, right? We've all got an angel and devil on our shoulders. We've got a good and a bad side. So I took those and I named them. I ended up naming them Hell and Hope. And I wrote many stories about hell and hope. As I wrote these stories about hell and hope, I realized that a lot like the divine feminine and the divine masculine sort of thing, right? Within hell and hope existed more subtle layers of those characters. So yes, hope was the divine, was the feminine within me, and hell was the masculine within me, but within them were all these other characters, multifaceted characters. It took me years of exploring these stories and interactions of, when I write stories, I don't come up with the story and write the story. I see an image and start writing what I see in the image, and I watch the image at it as it manifests. It's part of how I came up with the dream journeying stuff too, the way it manifests itself. So when I would write these stories, I would basically be listening to, privy to the conversation that these different parts of me would have. And I began running through different scenarios, realizing that when I went to date night with my boyfriend, a different character showed up than when I went to brunch with my parents, you know, like, or sat in an interview with my employer. There's different facets of self. We know this. We talk about this. This is totally normal to talk about. Yet we don't recognize the value in this concept. When you take the time to meet all these different parts of yourself, you get the chance to develop an entire family. Like I said, an entire army, an entire congregation, whatever it is within you that works with you and for you and through you. The biggest benefit for me in doing that work and seeing this as a pirate ship and all my pirates, at one point I stopped and I was like, wait a minute. Who the fuck is the captain here? I don't know if I've seen a captain, right? Because the different ego selves will all similarly manifest and tell you that they are the only one and they're the one in charge and they're the really who I really am. The ego wants to be in charge, so it's going to step forward and be like, no, it's me, it's my turn. No, actually, you're that character. Okay, fine, you got me. Okay, it's me. And another one comes up and you're like, no, but you're not as wise as my captain should be. It took me quite a while. Mila, you're very welcome. It took me quite a while to sift through all of these characters. And when I found my captain wasn't being loud with the crew. My captain wasn't vying for my attention, wasn't fighting to be heard over the din of the mutiny on board. My captain was sitting back in a red armchair with a fucking thing of scotch, looking out one of those huge ship belly windows. And when I walked in the room, he goes, finally. Here you are. It was that kind of energy. It was like, hi. And at first I was mad, right? Where the fuck have you been? You know that mutiny has, like, you've been here for all of this shit happening. You know we've gone through storms and rocks and fucking turmoil and mutiny and all the fucking, we lost the mast, we lost half the crew, we lost... What the fuck? Where have you been? The reality is, my captain doesn't need to fight the ego characters. Your captain is not going to come find you while you're running around playing pirate with all your characters. Your captain is sitting with the maps, with the compass, and with the navigation skills that you need, waiting for you to be ready and for you to come and accept your captain's help, your captain's guidance. Until we cultivate the humility to receive guidance, your captain's not going to be there. Your captain's going to wait until you're ready to sit back and say, okay, I realize I am not the wisest thing in the entire universe. I can sit back. You totally missed the context of this metaphor, Samuel. It's not Samuel, Samael. I'm talking about my inner selves, inner aspects of self, facets of self, from ego characters to traumatized little parts of myself to, inner saviors and caretakers and children and mean people and bullies and all the different aspects of self. All the different aspects of self. And remember, this is really important to remember. It's really important to remember because it shifts our perspective. Everything your system has developed, every ego aspect, every mask, every character, every trigger, every fear, every reaction, all of it was intended to keep you safe. Shift this with me now. Your body is not trying to attack you. Your brain is not out to get you. These are your allies. Your ego is not the enemy. These are your allies. If you create a battle with them, it is a war you will wage your entire life long. But if you create community, connection, and build trust, they become assets. Assets that can help you understand and see higher perspectives in every situation. That can help you pause before you react and truly decide how you want to behave. This is how we become responsible. Responsibility is a scary thing when we're not used to taking responsibility for all the inner workings, when we feel justified in blaming other people, and we are used to engaging in the energy push and pull, then that's what we continue perpetuating. And this kind of being feels different, feels weird, feels it's a fine line between blaming yourself and taking responsibility for something. Learning to walk that fine line is imperative if you're going to build a trusting relationship with yourself. How are you going to trust yourself if you can't trust your responses? I really struggled to trust myself when I had a very high trigger reactivity because I couldn't trust myself to not say something mean and stupid. I couldn't trust myself to not have a panic attack or a meltdown in a totally uncomfortable or totally awkward, you know what I mean? Not the right situation. I couldn't trust myself. My question to you is, how far do you trust yourself? How many ways are you being dishonest with yourself? What are you blaming on other people that you could take responsibility for? How are you victimizing yourself? We're all doing it. Lori, this was definitely me before now, and I try to take a deep breath and think about the situation. Hey, Alicia, how are you? And it takes time, right? And it is layers. And so as we peel away certain behaviors and certain layers, and we're like, phew, I managed that road rage, and now my road rage self is my bestie and helps me navigate whatever situations or whatever, right? Repurpose the energy and everything. What are you going to find underneath? Probably another character. Probably another misalignment. Probably another reactive part. But this is the process of coming home to ourselves. All of these are stepping stones that bring us back to our temple. All of these are tiles that we are using to retile the floor. All of this is little bits, bags of concrete that we're using to lay our foundation again, so that our foundation is solid and supportive, so that it can build upon strong foundation rather than on quicksand. Many of us, remember that lower chakra? Riker, you like the pirate ship? Yeah, it happened on its own, which is why I love it too. So, rewire our brains to have better thoughts, but it doesn't start by forcing your brain. This is like this idea we have in the West of the very forceful, very like I've got to do, fight, no pain, no gain. You've got to exhaust yourself, and if your arms aren't hurting, you have to go to the gym. Then you didn't do anything. Skip leg, don't skip leg day. That kind of shit. I'm like, there's a lot of time and place for that anywhere, a lot of other places, but in this space, I encourage you to invite the shifts. I encourage you to make space for change to arrive at your door. When we have these things like depression or anxiety that live with us, oftentimes we identify them as belonging to us, when really we can instead have a relationship with them as if they are partnered to us. I talk about how I live every day with depression and anxiety as my housemates. They live closely with me. And I have to build a relationship with them so that instead of forcing myself to change, instead of forcing depression to shut the fuck up, which I'd love to, I tried, but it just got louder, right? Because it's trying to compartmentalize. When we do that, we try to compartmentalize those things. We say, shh, don't say that. Remember, I said at the beginning of this thing, I love improv. And one of the rules in improv is to never say no. Try improv with your inner space. And when these emotions come up, instead of saying no, or shut up, or cut it the fuck out, or who the hell are you, or what the fuck, or whatever we say, utilize that energy and redirect it for something else. Or use it as a request to listen, right? When anxiety or depressive thoughts start to come up in my body or in my mind, I take it as a cue. It's like the toddler pulling on my skirt, right? Oh, someone needs my attention. So I pause. I often will touch the part of my body where I'm feeling it to bring my full awareness, my senses, all of my senses into it. And then I close my eyes and hold space and just say, what do you need? And sometimes I don't get any answer at all. Sometimes it doesn't change the energy at all. But most of the time, something shifts. Sometimes I even hear an answer. I have literally, like I said in the beginning, like I have been in the grocery store and all of a sudden anxiety comes and grips me by the throat, right? I'm like 3 aisles into the grocery store. I've already got things in my cart. Now anxiety comes to play. Thanks. Comes and grips me by the throat or grabs me by the belly and it's like, oh, now I got you. You're stuck in the store and there's shit in your cart. Now you're going to have anxiety. So what do? Usually it's in my belly, right? So I'll touch my belly and I'm like, what do you need? And anxiety will say, my friend anxiety will say, chocolate cake. Motherfucker, I will go over and get a box of, whatever brownies from the thing or something, and I will fucking feed that anxiety a little piece of chocolate. Sometimes it says, give me a beer. And I'll be like, no, it's noon and I've got to do groceries and other things. We're not going to go get a beer. Fine. Donut. Okay, I can give you a donut. Sometimes it just wants to dance in the aisle. Sometimes I'll just start dancing in the aisle and be really silly. And like, I made up a really ridiculous song that now my son and I both sing every time we go into the bean aisle. I was having anxiety, came and gripped me in all of the places and tried to hold me hostage. And so I turned to I was looking for garbanzo beans. And apparently this is what triggered anxiety. I was looking for garbanzo beans and couldn't find them in the dried beans. So that was it. Anxiety decided that we're going to have a meltdown right here. And so instead I went, black bean, pinto, no garbanzo. Pinto, black bean, no garbanzo. Made up this bullshit song in the middle of the grocery store with my son there with me and started singing it and being really silly. And anxiety was like, ooh, yeah, this is fun. Really? Dancing in the aisle? You bet your ass. Especially nowadays that the grocery store like has our music in it. Funkworm, you felt that anxiety have off, right? Like, Indigo, you said it's better to express emotions physically as they happen, not bottling up. This is it. Your emotion is a finite energy. A finite energy means it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Stop identifying with something that rises and falls far quicker than your life does. Lori, you're gonna have a talk with hubby and be like, you know what, this is the new me. I dance in the grocery store aisles. So, love it or leave it. No, I'm kidding. Steven, you're fed up with your meat bag. You want to move forward and could if you weren't always dealing with chronic insomnia and headaches. Sucks having to work wearing a mask and in pain on a daily basis. Remember that the body, the stack of stones, right, that's all stacked on top of each other, this is called a Caryn, C-A-R-Y-N, I think, or I-N. It's called the stack of stones. The very top stone is your body. Every other layer of self is underneath this top stone. This is why somatic healing is really effective, and working with the body and when we were processing these energies is really effective. But it also means that this is my check engine light. If anything is misaligned, is not feeling right in my body, there is another layer that is out of alignment. It's why I work with energy work, because when we work with energy work, we can access pretty much all the layers of self through energy work versus allopathic Western medicine, which treats just the physical symptoms, or, you know, I mean, I was going to say acupressure deals with the energy, so no, acupressure gets all the things. Nutrition only gets a certain layer. Spirituality or meditation only gets a certain layer. Talk therapy only gets a certain layer. Lori, you're one of those too. You've always danced and made up songs. Yeah, I'm always making up silly little jingles because it helps. I have found that anxiety, my experience of anxiety is heavily influenced by my little kid self. That little kid self really just wants to play and be silly and have the freedom to be as silly and beautiful as she wants to be without anybody judging her. And that's why when I feel anxiety, if I allow playfulness or a little sweet treat or a something that treats my 4 or 5-year-old self, that I find relief. Anxiety for you may be another character. And so learning what works for you, being mindful and aware and building that trusting relationship so that part of you can say, it took me time for anxiety to even respond to me. Funkworm, anxiety goes away with age. Some anxieties, yes, but not all. Hey, Nikki. Love you, babe. Thanks for that tidbit, Stan. Tigers love pepper. They hate cinnamon. Was that relative to the analogy, or was it just a random fact? Funkworm, yes, there are some anxieties that go away with age. And then there's also ones that, instead of waiting for them to go away, we can address them and we can build a trusting relationship with them. Right, Lori? I wish anxiety went away with age for everybody. Random facts are your 4 and 5-year-old sweets. Ooh, sun goat, so stand goat. That's really cool. I wonder how you could turn that around and use that as a helpful way to address, you know, something happening for you, a trigger. Hi, hello. Do you need to come up here for pets? Come here. Come here. Hello, my dog. I love him so. Hello, my dog. I love you. I love him so. He's my bestie. He's my bestie. I love him. He's my best dog. He's my bestie dog. What are you doing, you little ham? I didn't think you were hammy. I thought you didn't like the screen. I thought you didn't like it. Peace can be enveloping. It can. It absolutely can. And how do we cultivate that sense of peace? Funkworm, can't get a better friend than a dog. I literally just realized this year that I finally have an answer to the question, if you were stuck on a deserted island, who would you have with you? He's only 2, so I've only had him for, 2 years. So but for the first time in my life, I was like, wait a minute, I have an actual answer to that. Will, are you over there on Instagram? Because I think I said it in front of you. Weren't you and I talking about it? It's a blue healer, yeah, so he's oof. He's looking for hugs. Stephen, depression on your shoulder. Make friends with it. Ask it what it needs. Ask it what, like we want to push depression away. We want to tell it to get the fuck out. We want to tell it to take a hike but really, if a friend came to your door depressed, would you turn around and tell them to get the fuck out? Would you tell them to stop bringing you down? Would you tell them? No. Hopefully not. You'd hold compassionate space for them. How often do you hold compassionate space for your feelings of depression? Lori, we had your dogs are your best friends as a kid. So I always need a dog. We had dogs growing up, and we had the Spuds McKenzie English Bull Terrier. She even had like the brown patch over one eye. Her name was Sam, and she slept at my bed, the base of my bed, until my sister was born, and then she slept at the door of our room. And then when my brother was born, she alternated between our bedrooms. She was the most passive, sweetest, accepting dog, but also extremely abused. Unfortunately, my stepdad was really awful to her. So she spent all of her time protecting us kids. I've always wanted to get another dog like that. This guy is really similar in build and size, and not so much in temperament, but yeah, I call him my Velcro dog because he doesn't go anywhere without me. He won't go anywhere without me. He would jump out of a moving car if you tried to drive away without me. Alicia, resisting makes it more painful. Best to greet it like an old friend. Exactly. Exactly. When depression comes to your door, open the door, offer it some tea and a biscuit, and have a conversation. Ask it how it's been. See if it has something to tell you, I think the greatest gift that I received in this exploration, one of the greatest gifts, was that I really got to have genuine conversations with myself, and I actually started to learn about myself. There are parts of you who will tell you things about yourself that you may not have quite realized, right? You get those like aha moments when you're in the middle of doing this work and you're like, how did I not even see that before? Because you didn't even create the space. You didn't even ask. You didn't even look. Most of us don't even look, but we live in a culture that says don't look, just listen, just follow directions. Look right here, stare at the screen, listen to only what we want you to hear, and follow our directions. Never look within. It's dangerous and scary. And if you have different parts of self, well, then you must be diagnosable. We should medicate you. But that's all part of the game. That's all part of the manipulation. Peace is soul and heart fueled, not mind. It is about symmetry, balance, a time for every season. Right? I would agree. You don't find peace in the mind. You cultivate peace in the spirit, in your being, and your mind. You invite your mind to join you. Again, there's a million places in this world where you can go and you can work out and do your stuff and like really create tension to make things happen in the world. There's a time and a place for it. And there's a time and a place to spend space with yourself, just being, just experiencing, just meeting yourself with curiosity and willingness, and being willing, holding space and just listening. Like, I can't even tell you the insights that I've received more so from myself. And that's this like somebody says something, right? Or I read a quote from some wise somebody or other. And I take that in myself and I let that echo within me. And when it echoes within me, it usually uncovers part of my truth that either agrees, right? Finds similarity or deeper understanding that allows me to more deeply understand the concept. But it's not always readily available. Usually the brain is not wise enough to take those things. The brain takes it in and just goes, oh, that's wise. But it still remains up here until I pull it down into myself to allow it to resonate within me. There's a difference between knowledge and understanding. Understanding comes when we bring things into the heart, into the spirit, into the being, rather than keeping them up in the brain. The brain is very limited. but it likes to tell you it's the boss, it's the captain. And I think that's why in this culture we focus so heavily on the brain, because it is very limited and it is very good at perpetuating the gaslighting and manipulation that's already happened to you. Listen to that. Your brain is going to perpetuate the same patterns that you are already interacting with. And so if those patterns are born out of manipulation and gaslighting and are inauthentic, you will continue those patterns because the brain is working to keep you in a state of confirmation, of personal confirmation, of self-fulfilling prophecy. The brain is not actually very wise. It's just good at what it does. Stan, you don't get those whose voices are against them. Your inner self only aligns and encourages. That's really amazing. I don't think I've yet, I mean, that's not true, because I've definitely met people who either don't have an inner voice or who don't kind of argue with their inner voice. Although I will say I often find those are people with one inner voice or no inner voice. And that way I always encourage to dig a little deeper and see if there are other parts of yourself, right? But at the same time, this negative self-talk comes from adopting, again, the manipulations or not even the manipulations. Let's not even judge it as anything. It adopts what it experiences in the environment as true or as safe or as strong or as powerful. It's there to keep you safe. And so if using really negative self-talk to keep me safe, right? My stepdad was somebody who could not speak at a reasonable tone if he was worried. An example, I'm driving down into Mexico. I'm at his place. I'm driving down further into Mexico. His way of saying to me, what he was trying to say was, when you go further south, there's no shoulder to the road. It's just really deep sand. So be careful. Don't pull off the road. He couldn't say it like that. The only way he communicates these things is, look, if you're going down south, don't fucking stop. Don't fucking go off the fucking road, because you're gonna fucking get stuck and you'll fucking die out there. Ain't nobody gonna come fucking save you if you pull off the fucking road and get stuck, alright? Don't be fucking stupid. That is how he would communicate his care, his concern. So in my early development, the most intense moments of care and concern for someone else get manifested as that kind of, can't you see that this is really dangerous? Why did you not realize this? Let me show you. Will you please? Like, that same energy comes out. And I've had to recognize that and shift it. Vada, knowledge versus application sounds like it's what it's like to be raised by a psychologist, I bet. Mimsum. Voice language limits energy. Language is a limitation. Voice is a limited expression, just like our vision and any of our other senses. But I would not say that it limits our energy by using these tools. I would say, in fact, it's the opposite. We can limit our energy, but we can also enhance and expand and boost our energy by using voice and language appropriately, by using them as tools. Nikki, shit, me and 12 personalities have so much fun all day long. Me too. No, you're good. You're good. I just didn't see it, hun. Hold on. I gotta plug in the computer before it dies. Of course, the computer is just out of reach. Hold on, guys. Okay. Situating. Rearranging. BRB. Okay. All right, now you won't die. Let me turn on the AC real quick. Wait, want to go outside? You can go. Okay. Is that way too loud? Is that too loud, guys? Never apologize for a broken filter as long as we're still keeping it a safe space for everyone, right? Did I get an RV? Yeah, I've had this one. This is the one we've been traveling in for a while, and because they're selling the house, we are moving back into it. But I have been renovating it. I have changed the back bedroom from just a bed and the bedroom and the closets into a whole workspace with 2 beds. So, it's hot here. Did I mention it's hot here? Oh. Everything is permissible, not everything is beneficial. There you go. Lori, your mom criticized. That's how she mothered. Yep. Similar. Always with the intent, to help me learn, help me figure things out, but also with that whole fucking white glove. Ugh. Nothing was quite right. So just learning to reprogram these things, learning to deprogram these things, learning to recognize where these things are happening in our lives in ways that are not beneficial and not supportive to our... The thing I ask myself now is this decision inclusive or is it exclusive? Is it inclusive of all of my parts and my truth? Is it inclusive of my son's needs as well? Is it inclusive of somebody else that's involved or something like that? Or is this decision exclusive? Does it exclude my son? Does it exclude the different parts of myself? Does it exclude something I truly need or want? Asking myself on all those different levels. Is it inclusive or exclusive? And operating from there. That's one of the other many ways that in the moment, when I have that moment of pause, right? Is the decision, is the way that I want to move forward, is the way that I want to do this inclusive or exclusive? Stan, your mom found creative worry to be a pleasurable pastime. I used to think that I was worrying as a defense mechanism. I used to think my worry really allowed me to examine all possible scenarios, pros and cons of every situation, turned into obsessive thoughts. And I used the example once. Can't you always include all positive possibilities positively? That's the idea, right? That's the improv concept of not saying no. That's a similar energy, right? How do I meet everything as a possibly positive possibility? Gray, Cole, I'm glad you said this because this is something that I've talked about too. Seems my family killed their hearts to survive in this world. You feel like you made your heart grow. So my son asked me something several years ago about my ex and his kids. He has 4 kids. And the eldest daughter was different significantly than the other. No, excuse me, he had 3. Together we had 4. He had 3, I had 1. The other 2 were significantly different. Now they had other genetic things and whatnot, but there was something energetically, right? And he would ask me, he would ask me why. Why does her energy feel different? Why is her behavior different? And so we talk about it like this. There are pain, right? There are events, there are pains that happen in the world. And those pains can cause your heart to darken, can cause shadow to be cast over your heart, sort of thing. When painful things keep happening, we use this to shelter the heart. But it can also become insidious, where it's no longer just sheltering the heart, but then becomes the heart itself. We talk about it, shadow versus shade. Shadow is the way that when I know that I'm the light, when I know that I am a good person, when I know I'm okay, and I just recognize that they're broken, that this world is fucked up, and I need to use the tools to shelter my heart, this is shadow. There are a lot of people who shadow themselves and will use narcissistic tools when they need to use them. Will use bullying tools when they need to use them. Will use violence or aggression or these other, different energies, denser energies, shadow energies, to protect the light within, the vulnerability within. And then there are those of us who somehow, somewhere along the way, got the message that we are that darkness. And that's when I see shade. That's when I see someone who believes that they are not the light, that there is no light within them, and so have shaded their heart itself. Yeah, Nikki, an energetic disconnect. When the heart is shaded like that, it greatly restricts the flow of prana, of life force, of the infinite life force that's intended through our systems. Yes, Stan, agreed. Dark hearts, souls are only so enclosed or filtered. Beneath all are pure and immutable. Yes. That divine prana, that life force that flows through everything in the universe, always flows through everything in the universe. Doesn't matter how disconnected you feel from it, it is still flowing through you. If you are alive right here and now, you have that prana flowing through you. Our experience of it, remember the energy body, this energy comes in through those root and crown, it comes into our hearts and is created, manifested into creation through the heart center. And then it creates, the heart manifests our finite toroidal energy field that is built and, goes around our physical finite system. What flows through everything in the universe is that infinity, is that infinite divine constant. We can shade, we can hide, we can gum up the system, and we can do our very best to mute that energy. But it never goes away. What is Bhakti? Bhakti is a Sanskrit word that means devotion. So these classes are just devotion to self-care, devotion to authenticity, devotion to, meeting ourselves where we're at. The light is not subject to dark. Yes, we can just hide it. We can just shelter it. We can just put it away. But it never goes away. But doesn't the heart, plant or like grow instinctively towards the light? Yes. And our systems, oh, so listen, that's really good. Our systems are self-repairing. Our systems are self-balancing. When we are really far off balance, the system's going to still seek to bring it back to balance, but it's going to do so through really imbalanced means. Another example we can talk about from the chakras. So my solar plexus developed with a deficient kind of flow of energy, with a smaller expression, with a constricted, restricted expression because of my experiences in my internal and external environment, blah, 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 blah. So for many, many years, my system sought to balance out my energy center of self-esteem, my center of power, personal power, and ability to autonomy. It did through many different means, including attracting other people who had excess solar plexus. Ooh, wow, they look really powerful. They look really confident. I want to be like them. Oops. Now I'm engaging in a codependent energy exchange with someone who actually exacerbates my imbalance, not brings me back to wholeness. This is kind of the twin flame sort of journey. Can these relationships lead you towards your healing and balance? Yes, absolutely. But oftentimes they don't, because we just get stuck in the habitual exchange of energy, and we rely on our partner as our other half to satisfy our finite needs in this finite reality, instead of connecting to that infinite source. What's what's the first step in dealing with dense, stuck energy? Create space. Breathe. Look around you. Sing. Dance. Stretch. Listen. Create space. When we meet things initially with curiosity and willingness, we create space, and we give them the opportunity to share with us what needs to be shared. Rather than doing the doing, we can be the being and receive. And we receive a great amount of wisdom when we do that. There are a lot of parts of self that are quite quiet and not very forceful, and have no reason to chase you down and to tell you what they have to tell you. But if you take time exploring this inner landscape and build a trusting relationship with yourself, there are far quieter voices that will start whispering a little bit louder. More so, you'll have more space to hear them over the din, what used to be the din of the mind, right? Stan, we choose to turn away from the light. We can also choose to bathe in it to thrive. Agreed. And again, like I say, choice is a superpower that we all share. However, it's also a power that many of us have been told that we don't have. And when the brain is wired to believe that I am powerless, it does take a certain amount of work and a certain amount of courage and a certain amount of faith, or more like bravado or brazenness, to try to stand in the light, to try to let go of it, to try to see the world any way different than I'm a victim, I'm small, I'm weak, and I have no control over my reality. And whatever, and I'm constantly pushed and pulled by other people's emotions. There's nothing I can do. He came in mad, it was his fault. No, you are responsible for yourself. That other person cannot make you do anything barring physically grabbing your body and doing that. But the same holds true for the inner work that you're doing. Nobody can do it for you. If I want to get up earlier or change my diet, and I can have my partner help me, I can have friends help me, I can take all the junk food out of my house, I can turn off the TV or take out the TV so I don't go to bed late or whatever it is. I can do all of these external things. I can have my guru standing right there next to my bed if I really need it. And the truth is, when it comes to being the person who wakes myself up and chooses to get out of bed and stay out of bed, or chooses not to eat the thing or whatever it is, that's me. When you're sitting with your guru in meditation and your guru tells you to put your attention on the tip of your nose, you've got to do that. Your guru can't do that within you. John Michael. Yoga equals invites demons. I think there's a million ways that we can invite dark, dense energies. Judgment is one of those ways that we invite dark, dense energies. The demonic attachments that we can acquire through judgment and shaming and blaming other people and lack of personal responsibility and a lack of willingness and curiosity, those are some pretty heavy things. You're right. There's a lot of potential even in yoga, in Christianity, at work, in our relationships, in our inner worlds and in our external worlds to cultivate demonic, negative, dark, dense energies, whatever you want to call it. And I see them all over the world right now. Don't you? But in choosing narrow-mindedness, in choosing to grossly overestimate or underestimate, right? In our ignorance, to cast judgment in our ignorance is to invite that very energy that you were talking about. Because it puts us in the dark. It dampens our ability to see. It shuts down our light. Riker, who is my guru? It has shifted over the years. Thich Nhat Hanh was my guru for a long time. And still is in some ways. However, a big part of my path has been finding the guru within me and relying primarily on the guru within me, which is my connection to God, to higher power, to divinity, and letting that guide me. And taking advice and direction and taking guidance from any other ones that resonate as true, but ultimately not putting my full faith in anyone or anything outside of myself except for the divinity that flows through me, except for the ocean of which I am only a drop. 24-hour message. Hey friend, yes, these are recorded and the replays are available on YouTube at Move With Change. Jesus never asked us, John, to believe in him alone. Jesus talks about Christ consciousness, a state of being, a state of oneness and non-judgment. I find it very ironic when people talk about use Jesus' name with judgment. I think there's some missing of the message there. But again, our arrogance in our ignorance is that which invites that negative energy. 24-hour message. Thanks, friend. Remember, the replays are available on YouTube up to a week. After that, you'll need a membership. I have a level 1 and above memberships either here on TikTok, but the best place to get them is on Patreon. I have them here for your convenience, but Patreon is better. All memberships offer various ways to support the work that I do. I offer this stuff for free, and then different levels of membership offer you different benefits, from my replay archive to VIP content being created for you, to group coaching sessions, to private coaching sessions, all the way up into my top tier one, which is an intensive where we basically do 4 weeks straight together, several calls a week, and make major life shifts. I used to do that in other people's lives. Like, I'd go to their homes and help them hands-on through major life shifts for like a matter of like a couple of weeks to a couple of months. Since I'm a single mom now and doing this stuff, I don't go do it hands-on anymore, but we can still do it remotely. So that's the intensive, but all of that is available on Patreon. If you appreciate the work that I do, or just want to support me for doing the work that I do, you can either drop a donation in the tip jar, always appreciated, thank you, or you can select one of the memberships just to support me on a monthly basis. And remember, if you want a membership and the $ is the gate, is the lock on the gate that keeps you out, please reach out. You won't know the other options unless you ask, and there are absolutely other options. In fact, I often value the exchange more than the cash. Of course, I've got bills to pay, so I got to keep the cash flow too. But I'm not here for that. I'm here to share information. That is for free. And if you ask me questions on my content, or I try, I'll answer them as best I can. I try to answer them here as well. But if you're a member, I make you like unique, built for you content that you can download here on TikTok. 24-hour message. You're so sweet. I have many times in my life, actually for many years, and still for many people, I go by Mama D. Mim. Sometimes I feel like I have to invite dark energies to accept and deal with them. If you are a being of the light, you also have shadow, right? In the light, we cast a shadow. It's the duality of our reality, and absolutely important to make space for. This is why people talk about shadow work. It's really important. It's also really scary because that is the deep well where we usually start to look at the scarier, meaner, uglier parts of ourselves. The one we judge, the one we're afraid of, the ones that are really fucking scary. Yeah. So, it's not easy. It's really not easy. And it takes a lot of humility. How much is the membership? There's various memberships available from $5.55 a month all the way up to $1,111 per week. So it just depends on the amount. Again, the only thing I charge for really is my time. If I am making something or spending time working with you on your stuff and we're doing one-on-one stuff, that's what I charge for, because you guys hear my kid coming in regularly on the lives and whatnot, coming in to talk to me and ask questions. He values my time so much more than anybody could pay for, right? I value our family time a lot. So I want to make sure that the exchange is there. And also it's really important to cultivate an exchange, which is why I charge and or offer trade. But yeah. Aw, thank you, 24-hour message. Just let me know, too. Feel free to send me a message if you have questions or need to shift anything with memberships. But patreon.com/movewithchange is where you'll find all those memberships. Dre, what pre-work do I take? What do you mean? What pre-work? Thank you, friend. Stan, institutions aren't bad. People are. Well, that's the whole thing. It's not the tool that's bad. It's not the tool that's good or bad. It's how we use the tool. What pre-workout do I take? What do you mean, hun? Mims, one of my favorite hobbies. Playing outside, meditating, playing quantum with quantum reality, practicing flying and levitating. Talking to dragons and having campfires with the Fae. I mean, yeah. I don't know. Reading books, playing with my son, poking the Matrix. I really love poking the Matrix, and I do it often. Actually, no one is bad. Actions can be dependent on context. Exactly. When we remove ourselves from judgment, then we remove ourselves from the need to determine if things are good or bad. Instead, it's just, here's my determination. Is it for me or is it not for me? You guys, how do you poke the Matrix? Wait a minute, how do you poke the Matrix? So you see, the Matrix has an energy field, and when you find the energy field, it's like this little thing, and you can poke it. Physically. And with your energy. No. How do you not mess with the Matrix? No, okay. What I call messing with the Matrix or poking the Matrix is really just being unexpected. Because we get into mental, right? Our brain wants to prove itself right and create habits to keep us safe and create patterns so that we don't have to think too hard about anything. The brain is actually settling us into our own little bubble of dementia, and is like, you don't need anything else but what we already have. We're good. We're good. We're good. Let's just keep it like that. And when people are in their operating modes, stuck in their minds, stuck possibly in their future and in their past at the same time while they're trying to deal with their kid and something else is going on and whatnot, I find that when we bring a little bit of playfulness into the world, I don't do it anymore from a, like, aggravating kind of way. I used to be a little more aggravating about it. Now I try to make it playful and fun or very sweet. My favorite, honestly, way is to stop and say something nice to someone. Or to wink at a kid and do silly things, you know what I mean? Like in the grocery store, you make a funny face at kids. Sometimes I make funny faces at adults. A grocery store is my favorite place for it because I'm also anxiety in the grocery store. So like if you open the door in the freezer section and somebody happens to be on the other side, or if you see somebody at the freezer section, go and do it on purpose. Just open the door next to them and like make a face or like do weird dancey things in the door. I don't know. Just just be a weirdo. Just be authentic. Just be authentic and be a little silly. And that's how I poke the matrix, by being playful. The most, like I said, the deepest places of meditation and experience I have had, there's always laughter. The closest to God that I have ever come, there's laughter. Stan, do I prefer pop-up or oven-type toasters? I actually prefer these really old 1930s toasters that have two sides that actually go in like this, and so there's no popping, and it's not an oven, so I guess it's an oven, but I like those ones. I like vintage things. That's how I poke the matrix. Or I'll also poke the matrix by, and this is depending on the people you're hanging around, because some people really don't like this, but to play, what did I call myself yesterday? Contrary Mary. I was like, oh, I'm just being Contrary Mary, and just like respond to people with a bigger macro version or a micro version of what they're talking about, and just to offer, that's kind of the mental place of messing with the matrix, is poking people out of their bubbles of concept, poking people out of their bubbles of repeated habits, right? We talked about the maps, the mind maps earlier. Most of us are operating within our mind map in the exact same way that we always do without really thinking about it. And I find that when you can poke somebody in their little bubble of driving around their map, it's like, oh, hi, hello. My mother used to do it by just talking to strangers. She spoke to anybody and everybody any chance she got. Now, she wasn't like a super chatty kind of person, but she did it to connect with people. And sometimes she did it to weave in the intuitions she got about somebody, because she calls herself a medical intuitive. Her intuition works in a way that when she's in close proximity to somebody or connecting with their energy, she will often see or hear what they need in terms of like food or medicine or herbs or things like that, you know. So pop-ups are fun, but a disaster for frozen pizza stands. Stop it! You're supposed to fold the frozen pizza before you put it in the pop-up toaster. And that's it, 24-hour massage. I think a lot of us are doing this more and more every day, and that's what's, hey, Star Muse, and that's what's aggravating those denser energies that say stay in line. Shut up, sit down, stay in line, do what you're told. Those energies want us to stay so we can be controlled, so we can be, our resources and energy can be harvested. So all of these shenanigans, all of these immature, all of these Gen Zers can't work. I'm sorry, I actually am 100% behind Gen Z not falling in line. More power to you. Zennial here has your fucking back. You don't want to go and fucking fall in line in the fucking rat race? Don't. That shit is not conducive to your well-being. Very few of us get in there and actually find a wellness. What energies say to become skin-covered skeletons? Mimsum, unemployed Gen Z here. You know, I heard from an economist last year. We were talking, the conversation was about how to prepare Gen Alpha for the economy as it moves forward. How do we prepare our kids for the next economy? And this economist, I forget who it was, but they are well known So they said that what you do is you encourage your children to be authentically themselves. That is the next market. All of the style of manipulative marketing is now so obvious and at this point fucking annoying and rude, right? Those of us who get the emails and the marketing calls and all the things, this kind of media manipulation is no longer working and nobody wants to kowtow to it. So we have to create another way to do it. We have to come up with another way to engage with our resources in a way that's conducive to our collective health. Humanity as a whole is tired of that divisiveness, is tired of the huge divide between servitude and excess. It's out of balance. So we're going back into balance. Ooh, J-Rod, you're asking what energies encourage one to become a skin-covered skeleton? Like move into a meat bag? I don't know. Why did you decide to become human in this lifetime? Oh, that's adorable. You're trying to be rude? Oh, that was cute. You're trying to insult me. Hey, Thor, what's up? No. It's important for you to find work environment where people feel natural. Yes. So that's the thing, is these work environments too that are, you know, not conducive to the employee's wellness, those are falling away too. And that's why businesses and companies are trying to restructure so that they can make space for the individual, for the authentic needs of the individual. This whole idea that, like, I'm supposed to show up reliably 5 days a week at this 9-hour, 10-hour job and never have a sick day, or my boss is going to, you know, chide me for having a sick day or tell me I have to come in anyway when I'm a single parent. When my son is sick, there's nobody else to watch him. The reason I have structured my life the way that I have structured it is so that we can enjoy our lives authentically without having to answer to some arbitrary authority. I don't mind a wise authority. I think that it's good to put people in places of authority if they can manage that authority well. But I will not be treated like an ignorant meat bag, right? That just needs direction all the time. And I hope you're also tired of being treated like that, right? And engaging in these energetic push and pulls like this thing with J-Rod here, about trying to insult people as a means to satisfy your ego, right? These kinds of energetic push and pull between employer and employee, between neighbor and neighbor, between partner and partner, between friends, like that whole thing is really, it's dying. It's an outdated way of engaging, and it actually keeps us in a state of suffering. It keeps us in a state of ignorance. It keeps us in that low, dense energies. So you can choose that. The truth is you can choose that. If you want to exist in the low, deep, dark energies, there is an experience there for you, and you can absolutely enjoy the experience if you choose to. I personally, I don't want to be in that deep, dark, stuck energy. I've been there and I didn't enjoy it. So I have taken the path away from it. And I've fallen back into it and climbed out again and fallen back in, and sometimes I'm halfway in and halfway out, right? This is the process of learning. And learning to be responsible for our choices and for our actions and for our energy. And learning to hold space for those that aren't mature enough yet to have that kind of responsibility, aren't aware enough yet to have that kind of responsibility, because it does require a level of, requires a level of maturity to be willing to take responsibility for your energy and to learn to satisfy your energetic needs on your own, rather than using other people's energy to satisfy your needs. It just shows that, it just tells, it's a projection more of where you're at than it says anything about me or anybody else. The things that people say about you or to you say more about them than they do about you. So like we said before, I can be sitting in the courtyard doing my meditation and somebody's going to come over inevitably and not agree with me or want to insult me or want to do one of those things. But these are just gifts. These are just gifts of different shapes and sizes. And I can choose to receive the gifts, or I can choose not to. If someone is bringing me a tiny, itchy pink sweater that I don't want to wear, that doesn't fit me, it would seem really silly for me to put on that sweater, right? And to wear it around and then complain about it not fitting or pretend that I like it when I clearly don't. It would obviously seem silly, yet we do this with people's ideas and judgments about us. We take them on and we wear them as if they're who we are, and we identify with them. Give yourself permission to not accept gifts that aren't for you. And that can include people's judgments. It can be jobs. It can be relationships. It can be places to live. It can be behavior patterns. But take the responsibility. It is you who is still receiving the gift. Right, Stormy is someone who criticizes another, reveals their own insecurities. We're talking about the jobs that have management who are sweet and kind and help you build goals and genuinely care will get the most output. Absolutely. And that's what we're restructuring right now. We're restructuring an entirely different atmosphere at work and an exchange between work and family and home and wellness that is actually conducive, that is actually sustainable. Here's the problem with our system is it's not sustainable. It's deteriorating. It deteriorates itself. It steals so much resource that it's not sustainable, that it's not going to replenish itself. And that's what we're destroying the planet, we're destroying our cultures, we're destroying each other, we're destroying, like there's a lot of ways that we are leading ourselves collectively and the planet into unwellness, into dis-ease. How do we change that? By changing the ways that we personally interact with the world and relate to each other, and starting here. It always starts here. If I need to insult and criticize other people and belittle other people to feel good, nobody can heal that for me. I have to be the one taking responsibility for my insecurity that causes me to do that. Or Melly here, right? Stop my cultural appropriation. What is it? What culture am I appropriating? By talking about being aware and talking about how this culture is one that is not conducive to our well-being. And really, what's the fear? Using the tools from various cultures. I am an interfaith minister. I've been an interfaith minister for now 10 years. And as such, I have studied several different religious backgrounds. I have over 12 years in college and studying certifications and things like that. So these are things that I have explored personally. These are some of these things that I have lived in or traveled to other cultures to acquire and participate in. But again, out of fear, someone can come in and lay judgment and say, oh no, you're doing something that I was told is wrong, so I have to pass the message on to you. The judgment I got, I have to also pass on to you to justify my belief in the judgment. Bodhisattva, Thor, accepting fortune and misfortune with gratitude alike. Exactly, receiving compliments and insults. You're welcome, love you, Sophia. Thank you, Cherokee. So, for those of you who are new here, and I see a few, this is our CAYA space. CAYA, C-A-Y-A, stands for Come As You Are, because we invite authenticity in here. It is a space where everyone is welcome, even if you're not feeling so great. But just like other public spaces that are meant to be safe spaces, like churches and temples and community areas, centers and whatnot, when someone is unable to be responsible for their behavior and is attempting to or successfully making it an unsafe space for other people, then they are ushered out of the space. And that's not because you're not welcome. That's because certain spaces require a certain degree of personal responsibility. And if you can't maintain that personal degree, that personal level of responsibility, then you need to go find that before you can come back into the space. So, with that, what we do here is that we mute them. There we go. You're not blocked, and you're welcome to come back at another live. If you are able to be responsible enough and meet each other with curiosity and willingness in this space. If you can't muster curiosity and willingness at the very least, then this is not the space for you. And that's not meant to be a personal judgment on you. It's the way that we maintain a safe space. The mark of a tolerant society is intolerance of intolerance. So if we're going to create a space that's inclusive, we need to exclude people who are being exclusive. It's a paradox, but it's the truth. But it's the truth. Mim, my doggy's name is Ajna. A-J-N-A. Ajna. Hi, Sissa. All right, my friends. Again, this is our mudra for perspective. This is our mudra for perspective. Bring your palms together and keep your pinkies, ring fingers, and your thumbs touching. Interlace your pointer and your middle finger like you're folding your hands together. And then create a little space within, between the palms. Rest it here at your chest. Doesn't have to be specifically at your heart, but just here on your chest, wherever it feels appropriate for you. And then we suggest holding our mudras for a minimum of 5 minutes each day. If you can't do 5 minutes, do 3, right? Build your way up to it. This is the mudra for perspective. We did a longer meditation today where we actually went into our internal landscape, took a look at our map, and visited different parts of ourself and of our life. If you would like to watch the replay and do the meditation, it is on YouTube at Move a Change, and I started it at 10:30 today, right about 10:30. So if you go forward for half an hour into the live, the meditation will start. So at the 10:30 timestamp, 10 or 30 minutes in timestamp on YouTube. But even if you're just sitting there watching Netflix or in the passenger seat and you want to hold this mudra, you don't have to give it all of your attention. You can do other things. Mudras work by redirecting the energy channels in the body so they can do so passively. Katie, I'm glad you're here. You too, ma'am. And all the rest of you. I feel like I got a bunch of newbies today, and I love you guys so much. I love seeing new faces. Faces? New names. New titles. More than anything else in the world right now, I think that we could all benefit from a little bit of perspective. From having the courage to sit back away from our judgment and our fears and our concerns and our worries about the future and what happened before and what's going to happen and who's do what and all the details. I encourage you to sit for 5 minutes with this mudra and just see if you can find some space from all of those details. Gain a little bit of perspective. Lift a little higher to get a kind of a bird's eye view on the bigger picture of what's going on in the world right now and in our own lives. And see where you can shift. See where you can breathe a little more room. See where you can invite patience. See where you can invite compassion. Hell, just meet it with curiosity and willingness and see what's there. Build that trusting relationship with yourself. In a world that relies on, counts on your ignorance, that encourages your willful ignorance, the most radical thing you can do is become familiar with yourself and with the information that's available. But starting from here, the most radical thing you can do is start becoming familiar with yourself. Akbar, welcome. So, 24-hour massage. Can I explain the body's organs and that this mudra stimulates and channels to get their perspective? So, I don't have in my head the map of all the organs, but you can look on I encourage you to explore it. And actually, if you want to come into our Discord, by the way, we have a free Discord server that we hang out outside of the lives in. So if you like this content or have more questions or want to experiment with stuff and talk about it all fucking day long, any day, night and day and whatever, as well as engage in shenanigans, as well as get extra resources, come into the Discord. It's totally free to join the Discord. Again, there are memberships available if you would like to receive other benefits and private coaching sessions or group coaching and whatnot. But you can explore that after you get in the Discord. The Discord is for free. The link is on my Linktree. It's also in my Patreon page. Link is in my bio for my Linktree. Linktree will get you all to places. But I am Move with Change Patreon, Linktree, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Kick, Twitch, TikTok, Clapper, Lemonade, fucking wherever the hell, X, yeah, all the places. But the place I hang out is on Discord. So, if we go into Discord, I can totally look that up and we can chat at length about it. But your thumbs are the channel for the element of fire through the body. The index fingers are the element of air through the system, through the body. The middle fingers are the element of spirit or ether. The ring fingers are the element of earth. And the pinkies are water. So this one actually works to balance water, earth, and fire in the body. And we use the spirit, the ether, and air to lift ourselves to that higher perspective. If you go into, like I said, if you go to reflexology and you grab a map, it's also going to help you see how the overlay of reflexology and mudras interact with your system. Because yes, you are, with mudras, touching pressure points. Remember that when we hold our mudra, this is important, so listen up please. We hold our mudra with no more than the weight of a nickel. It can also be said that we hold our mudra with intention, not tension. So when you're holding this mudra, I invite you not to stretch your fingers out, not to hold them tight, but to create the connection. Obviously, there's going to be a little more of a connection with the folded fingers, but to create the connection, hold it with intention, but not tension. Don't create tension. Holding this mudra here. And then we rest it here at the chest, which again, you can also look at acupuncture too, the pathways, the energy meridians. Akbar, do I have the mudras written down somewhere so you can save and practice later? Actually, I do post the mudras in the Discord. I'm thinking about putting them on the Patreon now too, because I know some folks have gotten memberships on Patreon and then they miss all the content because they don't join the Discord or don't subscribe to the YouTube channel. So I want to make sure that everybody knows where to get the stuff. Discord really, really, really is the place to get the stuff. It's where I hang out, it's where I post all the stuff, but also I have a replay archive on YouTube, and that has been collecting my classes since last November. The replay archive is available with a membership. It's a level 2 membership or above. Gets you the link for my replays. You can get that on Patreon, or you can get that here on TikTok, but I ask if you can go to Patreon, please go to Patreon, because TikTok takes up to 60% of what I make here. So I don't really want to pay that much money to this platform. Yeah. So, or you can also send me a message, right, and ask, or you can comment on any of my videos and say, hey, can you show me this one or that one? In fact, in my recent content, I have a series of mudras for each of the chakras. Yes?
It's really smoky outside, so I think there might be a host fire.
I am fully aware of the level of smoke outside. Thank you very much. Are you doing your job right now, or are you letting your brain run off with a fear of a fire? Oops. Your brain ran you down a different road. All right, go take the train car in your brain back to the job you were doing, okay? Okay, I love you. I'll be done in just a minute, okay? Just a few minutes.
After that, could we have,
honey,
okay.
after we can discuss and negotiate after.
Okay.
Awesome, wonderful, Akbar. So glad you said that. You're pushing hard. Yes, and doing panic breathing and wiggling them for massage. It explains why your ring fingers swelled this week. You connected with earth, so energy hitting. Yeah, we can ground the energy. We can do things with the energy in our body by using the actual elements elsewhere too. It's just that mudras work to redirect, enhance, shift, quiet, right? These energies. But in this space, in our mindfulness space, pretty much everything we do, we meet with this same intention, not tension, intention. When I'm sitting in meditation, I hold my body upright, not with tension. If I were to sit in meditation with tension, I'm not, like, there's so much going on in my system because I'm creating all that tension. But if I lift my heart and elongate my spine, lifting through the top of my head, sending my tailbone down to the earth, then I can feel the intention fill my being, and that's what holds me upright. That's what keeps me from doing this while I'm meditating. That's what keeps my mudra from doing this while I'm meditating, is my attention. I bring my attention helps me keep my intention. How can you protect disassociated energies involved in mudra use? You may need to ask a little bit differently. I'm not sure I understand. Protect disassociated energies. I talk about the Fae and dragons much more in the Discord. The dragon stuff I've been given permission to share. I actually posted a video of the dragon that I caught on video flying through the air above my house. You hear me, I'm recording like the afternoon sunset or something like that, and you hear me on the video go, what the fuck was that? Because this thing moved through the sky, like straight up undulating through the sky. And so I zoomed in on the video and I was like, holy shit, that is literally a tail, and it's going like this. It's not a bird. This thing is undulating through the sky. And that one I heard very clearly, share. And I just so happened to catch, shortly thereafter, I have a night camera that I keep here. We have a big piece of property and whatnot. So I got the night camera, and I had a Fae fly in front of that camera directly into our fairy house. We built a fairy house here, and it flew in front of the camera and directly to the Fae house. But that one I've been asked not to share. It's not a sunset. It was, again, I don't know if I can find the video. It's somewhere in my content. Okay. Thank you for continuing with your question here. So you say your eye chakra, your third eye chakra, gets involved in body observation, and you feel like spirit gets lost in the process. Okay. So when you're doing mudras, your mind's eye does body observation. Is that what you're saying? Just shifts into the space. Remember that ego and different parts of self, right? Oftentimes show up as our wiser, higher selves. They're like, no, it's me. It's me. I'm the guide. It's me. I'm the captain. It's me. I'm your wiser. I'm your third eye. I'm your, whatnot. It's me. I'm paying attention. So if we find our minds are jumping up to do something like that, like body observation, when what you really want to be doing is just, well, what do you really want to be doing? 24-hour massage. No, it's not an imagination. It's not it's a video that I took of it. So there are several things that we can do in the meditative space. Okay. Let's put ourselves in the Gyan Mudra. That's just your index finger and your thumb touching. Extend your fingers with intention, not with tension. You're not, right? So just extend your fingers and place them on your thighs here. When you close your eyes, actually, here's a cheat code for you. If your mind kicks into gear and starts doing something, I invite you to try at least a couple of times. Try to ask your brain, what am I thinking? What am I thinking? What am I thinking? Like, engage your brain enough to ask your mind, what am I thinking? What am I going to think next? What now? What am I going to think now? What am I going to think now? Oftentimes, a lot of people experience, I've experienced this, I've heard other people experience it as well. It doesn't work for everybody, but for some of us, it helps the mind immediately quiet down. As soon as you're looking for the thoughts that are going to randomly pop up, they quiet down. Another tool is to find a focal point. So as we're learning to release our focus entirely, which is something that we have to cultivate, something we have to practice. When we are learning to do that, it can help a lot to choose a focal point. So your mind, your mind's eye is looking for something to do. So choose a focal point. If you're holding a mudra, I like to pick like where the fingers touch, or the palm of my hand, or some other area. So instead of my mind just wandering all over the place, I am bringing it back to my focal point. Now it's still going to try to wander. And this is the foundation of mindfulness. It's going to try to wander anyway because it's not used to doing this with you. So anytime you find it wandering off, just gently bring it back to your focal point. I call it an anchor. Dog, you're laying on the camera stand. It's going to be shaky for a second until he moves. I call it my anchor. Choose your anchor. Your anchor can be your heartbeat. Your anchor can be the sound of your breath. I really like, you could also try Tritaka meditation. Tritaka meditation is a staring meditation. So if your mental mind's eye can get really busy during meditation, try an open eye staring meditation. I really love Tritaka for various reasons, but if you want to try it out, it can make the eyes a little tired, so please be gentle with yourself. But try for 5 minutes. Try something, anything, a flame or any other focal point, and stare for 5 minutes, or 3 minutes, or 2 minutes, or 1 minute. But again, any time your attention starts to wander away, bring it back. Do so gently, not with force, not with shame, not with blame, not with guilt. I'm not trying to fucking chide ourselves here. We're gonna go. I'll tell you what I have. I have a pirate on my ship that when any of these cats start to wander off, she goes, oh. It's like a Mary Poppins. It's like a somewhere or something I adopted many years ago. I don't know. But she goes, oh, and she brings them back to the center. Like a toddler walking off the mat when we're supposed to be reading. Oh, and you bring them back in. Anytime, this is the foundation of mindfulness. Spend just a few minutes every day. Just bringing your attention back to an anchor, to a focal point. In this way, you cultivate the habit in your brain and in your body. To when you sit down for these practices, the brain and the body will then fall in line because you've been doing this so long, you've created a habit of it, and the brain and the body go, oh, I know what we're doing now. Okay, I'll shut up. And this is how we cultivate that kind of space of inner peace, is because we work through the layers of busyness first. We've got to sort through the tumultuous waves first before we get to the still waters beneath. "24-hour message. No, there's a dragon. There was a dragon in my sky, and I caught a video of it while I was videoing. Your emotions are absolutely valid. I love you, and I see you, and I hear you, and I'm so sorry." Okay. There was a sunset here over my house. Once upon a many day ago, last Wednesday, next Tuesday, there was a sunset. And I was recording said sunset, or maybe the birds in the sky or something. I don't know what I was recording. And in my field of vision on the camera, something went like this in front of the camera. Far away, but enough that I watched it go across the sky. And I was like, wait a minute. And then I zoom in, and it's long. Not a bird, it's long, and it goes like this. Candace, good 24-hour massage is just messing around. Thank you very much for holding space, but they're just messing around. Your emotions are absolutely valid. We were talking about dragons, and they thought I meant a dragon in their sky, so they went running out, and it was an emotional roller coaster. I adore you guys. Yes, Dana, breath is another really good anchor for mindfulness. From what I hear, breath does not always work as an anchor for folks, particularly ADHD diagnosis folks. I don't have ADHD, but I also do have a very busy brain and a lot of similar symptoms to ADHD. And the breath does still work for me, but sometimes I need more than the breath. Thank you, Zach. Akbar, how do you teach kids to start meditating from a young age? Honestly, the simple mindfulness tools. They already are doing it. They're already practicing mindfulness. They're already mostly in the here and now, experiencing the here and now. The younger they are, the more they're already practicing these things. So it's really just inviting them to spend more space in the time that they're in, spend more time in the space that they're already in. For example, going out on a walk with your kid. Instead of walking to get done with the walk, engage, model what they are already doing with them. So stop and look at rocks and lay on the ground and listen to the plants and all of this stuff. This is mindfulness. This is meditation. This is awareness. This is cultivating your awareness. And continue to encourage them to stay open and cultivate that awareness. And you can do so again most effectively by modeling, which means letting them lead. For very young kids. If you're talking about a little bit older, like double-digit kids, 10 and over, then they're already kind of programmed into their way of being, and it's more about finding the type of meditation that they can engage with, that they can relate to, and that's effective for them. Telling kids to sit down and shut up for 5 minutes or 15 minutes and just be quiet and still isn't quite the most effective for children. Some children can. Yes, Candace, living has turned into a meditation for me. Dana, exactly. 3 grandkids, and they're already mindful and strong intuition. We teach that out of them. We teach our children to ignore those things. Just like when we put a diaper on our child, we teach them to ignore their body's, or what's the word I'm looking for? Their body's messages. So, as an infant, infants will roll away from their own excrement. We're going to get on this subject now. We're going to talk about poop now. You guys ready? Infants do not like to soil on themselves. They will roll away from it. They will push away from it. They will kick and be uncomfortable in it, right? There's a natural instinct to move away from our excrement, as there should be. Yet then we slap a diaper on and we say, it's okay, just go in your pants. It's okay, just sit in your pee. It's okay, just ignore what your body is telling you. And then we add spoon feeding. Just one more bite, just one more bite, just one more bite. Come on. You have to eat when I say you're supposed to eat and how much I say you're supposed to eat. Oops. Ignore your body's natural intuition, natural inclination to tell you when it's hungry, to tell you how much it wants, to tell you when to go to the bathroom. And instead, let me tell you when to sleep, when to eat, when you're, We do a great deal to perpetuate a controlling mentality and to work these things out of our children. And again, this is not meant to induce shame or guilt. It's meant to cultivate awareness so that we can do something different in the future. Because we can't change anything unless we have the awareness of it, right? Unless we have the awareness of it. What gives us that awareness? Perspective. You guys know one of my favorite quotes? Monica, putting diapers is only for our benefit. It's not for the benefit of the child. Correct. But culturally, we are told it's necessary. Culturally, we're taught that our children don't have the natural instinct to move away from their excrement, but they do. And in our ignorance, we do what we think is best, what we think we should do. Just like the whole Dr. Sears cry it out nonsense. The child in the infant state has no concept of time, has no concept of object permanence. When you leave an infant alone in the dark, they are left in what essentially is the experience of infinite perpetuity. They don't know that you are standing right outside the door, listening to them cry, feeling guilty about it. They don't know when you're coming back. And no matter if it's 5 minutes or an hour, it feels like a constant, never-ending now, because they don't have the capacity to understand anything else, because they are fully present in the here and now. And in this way, we cultivate imbalance in the lowest chakras. My root chakra develops, yours as well. All of them develop during development in utero through the first 6 months of life. What kind of imbalance do you think would be created when we are naturally inclined to just excrement and move away from it, but then we're taught, no, ignore your root chakra, ignore your grounding, your sense of security, and your sense of being right in the world, being allowed to exist in the world. Ignore that energy. Ignore the control of those muscles. Because what do we also teach our children when we just put a diaper and say, go anytime when you want to, is they stop controlling those muscles. Infants can control those muscles. I actually went to college for human development and wellness, and so this is a really big kind of soapbox for me about how we develop and why a lot of the ways that we think are normal and good for the ways that we are raising our tiny humans are actually not conducive to our wellness, but are influencing our assimilation into a system that does not perpetuate our wellness, but perpetuates our dis-ease, imbalance, so that we can fall in line and stay good little capitalists. Monica, yeah, being a foster parent, I imagine you see a lot. I hope to be a foster parent someday. I hope to have a revolving door foster kind of home, and to always be that parent, that adult that kids can trust, they can come to and have a safe space, because that's all I needed when I was a kid. Hey, Jay Tamara, how are you? So that's root chakra. And then 6 months to about 18 months is your sacral chakra. Your sacral chakra is your nourishment. This is my umbilical cord, literally to my mother, and metaphorically to the universe, to God. It is my space for nourishment. It is my space for mobility, intimacy. It is my space that answers the question, if I ask for help, will someone meet my need? If I express a need, will the universe respond in a way that satisfies my need or not? Then we move up into the center of autonomy versus shame and doubt. This is the age of about 2 years, right? They're about 18 months, 2 years, up until about 4 or 5. The solar plexus does a bunch of development there. This is my, can I affect the world? Can I be confident in who I am and in my first expressions of interacting with the world? This is the, and yet we call it the terrible tubes. Because this is our children's first expression of authenticity. And we live in a culture that says, shh, you're being too loud, you need to calm down. You need to sit down and be quiet and color in the lines. Don't throw your food. Don't be too loud. Don't hit. Don't be selfish. Listen to what I say. There's a lot of walls and boundaries and barriers and sort of things, buffers that start to happen in these places where we tell our children to deny their truth, deny their authentic expression or authentic needs, so that they can fit into the external environment. Instead of adjusting the external environment to fit the child, to hold space for the child, we expect the child to adapt to the external world. And then we wonder why these things perpetuate in our external world, in our societies. Well, maybe if we'd let the children change the world instead of telling the children that they need to be like the way the world already is, we'd probably have progress happening a lot faster and a lot sooner. There's a lot happening in this world. And honestly, it's your journey to take. No matter which direction, no matter whether you're going high or low, you take the high road, I'll take the low road, I'll meet you there in the morning. Doesn't matter. You can swim upstream if you want. You can carry your lessons as bricks in your backpack. You can decide to spend your life in dense, dark energies, or you can decide to grow wings and fly way above it all. It's your experience to have. So I am not here to tell you how to be, who to be, what to do, or any of that. Because you are your guru. I am not your guru, and nobody else really is either. Yeah, you can have some outside of yourself, but ultimately, I encourage you, I offer tools here and encourage you to find the guru within, the captain within, and develop a trusting, quality relationship with that part of self. And just see what happens. If you don't want to, you don't have to. You can roll your eyes at me and say I'm all woo-woo or appropriating cultures or whatever you want to say. And that's okay. There's a gift in that for you too. And it's not my job to judge what you do or who you are. But, that said, if you relate to the things I'm talking about, if you want to talk more about them, if you want to ask more questions, and you want to engage with this content material more, please come find me in the Discord. The link for the Discord is in my link tree, or it's on my Patreon page too. The link is in my bio. If you are interested in working with me one-on-one, I have memberships for that. If you're interested in joining our group coaching sessions, we have memberships for that too. Memberships are all available on Patreon, patreon.com/movewithchange. They are also available on TikTok, but TikTok takes up to 60% of what I make, so I ask you, please do go to Patreon if you're going to go ahead and grab a membership. For your convenience, they are here now. Note the prices here will go up in September to reflect what TikTok charges. I always appreciate your support, financial or otherwise. I love trade. I love the fact that you guys share my content and comment and engage with it. Thank you so much. It helps get it out to more people. If you know somebody who's interested in this stuff, please invite them into this space. I go live Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific time, totally for free. For shenanigans, mudras, meditations, silliness, shenanigans, lots of shenanigans. Did I say shenanigans? Lots of shenanigans. I am also playing with a few different merch ideas, mostly just as another form of being, fun ways to be able to support me while you also get something. So on Patreon, when you have your membership, you get a gift at 3 months, a gift at 6 months, or I think a gift at 9 months, and then a gift at a year, I think. Patreon sends you I chose a sweater and a face towel and a t-shirt and stuff like that. I chose all sorts of fun stuff, and they have our mindfulness pillars on there. And you're welcome to explore those memberships if you'd like to. Again, I don't charge for any of the information. That is free. That is what I'm here offering, and that's why I spend sometimes 4 or 5 hours on these lives, just answering questions and offering everything for free. But if you'd like to make a commitment to working together, then we make a commitment, and that can be financial. It can also be an exchange. Dollar is not king here. Your energy is. Your commitment is. And I'm not talking about a commitment to me. I'm talking about a commitment to you. If you really want to do this work, if you really want to create space within yourself, if you really want to come home to yourself, you need a trusting relationship with yourself to do that. And one of the best ways to build that trusting relationship is to show up for yourself every day. So, try. Just 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes every day. First thing in the morning, give yourself a 5-minute snooze and spend those 5 minutes offering yourself love, or maybe even just meeting yourself with curiosity, right? Some mornings I don't feel like I love myself. Some mornings I don't want to get out of bed. Some mornings I don't feel anything good. So how am I going to lay in bed and offer myself love? I can at least meet myself with curiosity. I can at least set aside whatever other things I'm feeling and saying, okay, what is here? Akbar, do I teach about diet and more light foods to eat? Yes, I talk a lot about nutrition and eating habits from an Ayurvedic perspective as well as a Western perspective, blood type perspective. But I do that exclusively in the Discord because of the unhealthy culture, some of the unhealthy culture around dieting that is available through social media. So I do not want to be the source of somebody taking the wrong information and turning it into an unhealthy practice. So that is one of those things that I do not do that on lives. Arthur, are you new in this space? Hello, my friend. This is a CAYA space. This is our CAYA community space. CAYA, C-A-Y-A, stands for Come As You Are, because we invite authenticity in here. But we also ask everyone to show up with a sense of personal responsibility so that you can meet each other, others, with curiosity and willingness. So we can together cultivate a safe space for everyone. And now, I understand that we all have whatever day we're having, and not always a good day. If you don't have the personal responsibility available to you today, then that's okay. There's other places for you to be. But if you continue to be disruptive in this space, then we will go ahead and mute you so that we can maintain a safe space for everyone. Tyler, what do I think about CMOS? Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of the many, many things that can benefit the body. Sea moss, seaweed, algae, things like that are very high in nutrients, minerals, and things that we don't get from some of the other above water things. I encourage you to explore those if you feel called to do so. And I'm also not going to tell you that there is one right way to eat if you're on the path of enlightenment. I really believe in your authentic expression. This is your path. This is your journey, your unique brand of experience. It's just as unique as the shape of your iris, as the fingerprints on your hands. It's just as unique as everything else about you. So the idea that there is one way for everybody and everybody has to fit inside that box is a misnomer. It's paradoxical to the way the entire universe works. Everything else in the universe goes through flows and shifts and has these unique needs. We wouldn't go out into, to all the animals on, well, let's usher all the animals onto the ark and then treat them all exactly the same. Let's feed them all the same stuff and put them all in one cage together and tell them to shut up and sit down and follow directions. What would happen? Chaos would ensue because these are different energies. Humans are the same, except for somehow along the way, we've been manipulated into assimilating far more than those wild beasts. But we're becoming wild beasts again. So I encourage you to follow your intuition, to follow your truth, to ask yourself. In fact, let me offer you this. It's a muscle test. You can do it several ways. There's one that you can do with somebody else, but I like to do this one by myself. The one that I can do by myself when I am out in the grocery store, or if I am standing in front of my fridge and I don't know what to eat today, and I have a couple of things that I'm not sure, maybe I want that, maybe I want this. Or I'm at the grocery store looking at supplements and saying, is this good for my body or not? I encourage you to use this practice. You essentially hold the thing. Ooh, let's use a spice. This one's hit or miss for me. It's best when you're standing because then you can get, your body is a little bit, there's more room to wiggle. So I'm going to get on my knees here and we're going to do this one. I've got two cameras here, so I don't know if you both can see the angle. Okay, there we go. All right. So the point of this practice is to grab the thing that you are wondering if it's for you or not for you. That's the question. Not is it good or bad for everybody, not is it right or wrong for everybody. Is this for me right now, or is it not for me right now? Because tomorrow this could be for me. Okay? So we can check these things. Okay. On my knees here, so we got, okay. All right. So what you're going to see Take the thing and hold it to your heart and close your eyes. And almost immediately, I tipped backwards. I almost thought I was going to fall. This is not for me today. You can do that with your supplements. In fact, I highly encourage you, if you take supplements, to break up your supplements, because it's not really great to take the exact same thing every day for an extended period of time. Your system starts to take it as normal and starts to assimilate to it, and it can slow down your metabolism. Seaweed. Seaweed and sesame. Is this for me today? Yeah. Could you see that one? I could feel it pulling forward. So, seaweed. But look at this. These are really similar. Both are salty, right? They're similar in the experience. So, I love salty things. Oftentimes, I use something salty on my food, right? Especially toppings like things like this. This one has protein, B vitamins. This is nutritional yeast, by the way. Nutritional yeast and nori seasoning. You've tested it before and it doesn't work? Either that or you're a roll of toilet paper. Friend, Claybeard, how was Costco? See, now I don't use it to answer questions like that. I don't use it to answer other questions. I don't use it as a random divination tool. I only use it to ask my system, is this what's for my system right now or not for my system right now? I don't ask the yes, this thing any more complicated questions than that. So maybe that's it. Maybe. But aren't you a roll of toilet paper? Like, aren't we all one in the universe? So maybe in some way you are. I don't know. Maybe. Sesame with rice. It's so good. A lot of adulting in a short amount of time. Yeah. We've been doing a lot of, I mean, not, have we been adulting? It's not really adulting. There's been a lot of shenanigans in here. There's been a lot of shenanigans. Oh. Here comes the child. Yes, what?
There is a fire back there. That, behind our house.
What do you mean behind the house? In the neighbor's yard behind our house? Or in our yard behind the house?
Not in our yard, but it's close. Okay, it's back there.
Did you just talk to the other neighbor? Or you can literally see it?
I asked Doug why it was so smoky and he said there's a fire back there.
Okay, then he's not talking about the neighbor's yard.
Okay.
I've got 10 more minutes until 2 o'clock. And then I'm going to get off and we're going to sit down and have some food. Better go look ASAP, maybe, right?
I'm going to go look so I can see it, though.
Who's your daddy? But then everything is also good for you because if you wait for 5-10 minutes, I will get on the roof of the RV with you and we will take a good look.
Yeah, I'm not going up there.
Fine.
It's too scary.
Okay, never mind then.
Could you go up there?
So take that tool with you. Take this little tool with you and ask yourself in each moment. This is about cultivating awareness. This is about cultivating mindfulness. Before you eat anything, even before, if you're not going to use the muscle test, before you eat anything, just ask yourself, is this for me or not? And if you don't get an answer the first time, eat it anyway, I guess. Right? Try the next time. 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 And eventually, someone's going to respond. The more space and time that you give your inner selves, your inner characters, egos, aspects, facets to respond, the more likely you're going to hear what they have to say. I take like 20 supplements a day. This will take me like an hour. Maybe you are. Maybe you are just paper and cardboard with all those supplements. I'm kidding. I love you. Tyler, is this a shenanigan? It's always a little shenanigan-y. Akbar, quick curiosity. What's my diet? I don't have a diet. I consume as much whole food as possible and then also inoculate myself with random processed foods. Do I consume alcohol? Yep. Do I consume tobacco and devil's lettuce? Yeah. Do I do all of these things every single day in excess? Nope. But I believe in flexibility. I believe, rather than rigidity, I believe in playfulness and understanding rather than judgment and shame. And I know for certain that if I am going to eat a piece of chocolate cake, the difference in the way that I feel about it and talk to myself about it makes a huge difference in the way it feels in my body. I have a saying that I say for everything I eat, everything I consume. Before I consume it, I at least say to myself, if not out loud, in this beer, in this Cheeto, in this boiled egg, in this carrot, in this meal, in this bowl, in this cup, I see the entire universe supporting my existence. And that's it. Son, that is not a ride, and that's making me feel quite frustrated that you would use the cabinet door and sit on it. I need you to open it up and look at what just happened. You just pulled that top hinge open. Yeah, you just hurt that. So you're gonna be spending some time repairing that today. Maybe everything, but also making sure that you know, so there are some things that I don't eat, like meat. I don't eat meat right now. And I haven't for the last 3 years or so. Maybe like a little bit here and there, like a taster of nugget or something here and there, right? But I don't consume it on a regular basis. And that is because my system said no. A couple years ago. My system said no. And I said, okay. And then I just sat with it. And sometimes, actually like yesterday, I was in the grocery store and I saw some frozen salmon and I was like, oh, my body, literally everything in me was like, yes. So I'm going to end up having some fish here soon. That and upping my seaweed. You were vegan for 3 years. You feel better without meat. And that's the thing. Meat, if we talk about meat on a digestive, like from a digestive perspective, it's actually really not. It's really heavy on the digestion. It's really slow on the digestion, and it's essentially rots. What you'll find, the more meat you consume, the less pleasant the system smells. And that's partially because meat is festering, and meat is also hormones, and meat is also kinds of fats that are difficult for the body to break down. Can we break it down and consume it, and can we use the nutrients in it? Yes. Is it the ideal fuel for everyday use for the human system? Not really. My mother used to always say, she goes, I only eat living things. If the plant is still green, it's still alive. And listening to the body is the primary thing, right? And again, if you're going to have a better experience just enjoying yourself a bag of Cheetos than you would having a salad, if you're going to bitch at yourself and feel like shit while you're eating the salad, my friend, have the Cheetos and then have a salad. Like I don't know. I am also, again, I'm not a purist. I'm not a perfectionist. I think perfectionism leads us way down a path of imbalance, because when we seek perfection as the outcome, it leads us away from authenticity. But when we seek authenticity, perfection occurs naturally. Perfection within our authenticity, within our unique expression. But when we seek perfection, it is almost always from the confines of someone else's idea of perfection. And it does not make space for your authentic expression. You are perfect in your authentic expression. Many of us are imbalanced in our attempts to right ourselves based on external markers. And if you're still in the process of healing, you know, I always like to say, if the scales are out of balance, then the measurement will be askew, will always be askew. So remember, if you are healing right now, if you're still moving through some self-talk, self-love, self-trust, remember that your judgment may be skewed by your own imbalance. So taking the time to not try to make the answer or make the decision, but to sit back and hold space and be with yourself and be with the answers that come up, you're much more likely to find wisdom rather than rigidity, insight rather than ignorance. Ooh, Astro Zombie, that's another way to say it too. I heard someone say, stop judging yourself through someone else's eyes. Most of the judgments we have about ourselves are from someone else's perspective. 24-hour massage. What are you talking about? Foraging? Because I'm an herbalist, and I was just actually thinking last night, sitting outside, having my spliff before bed, looking out at the forest, going, I wonder if I really tried out here where we're at. We do have some stuff that we could definitely forage. I don't know this exact location, how far I'd have to go to forage enough to satisfy the caloric, not caloric needs, right? The needs of my son and I. But I think we could. Although if I was living entirely on foraged, I would also be foraging fish. I would probably also be engaging with like fish or, you know, the random big animal or a small bird here and there. If I was just foraging, I'd probably be back to eating meat that I caught myself. So, all right, my friends, both the computer nearly died and the phone is about to die now too. Also, do I believe that what you judge in others is a correlation of judgment of yourself? Ooh. That's a really good question, because I always really hated the response where people said, what you judge about others is what you don't like about yourself, right? Oof. And so that made me think, like, if I don't like arrogance in other people, if I judge arrogance in other people, but I am intentionally trying not to cultivate that arrogance, that, like, it doesn't make sense. But it is more from the perspective of that which I judge in others is that which I judge in myself, or that which I fear in myself, or that which I deny in myself. Yes, some of the things can be the things I deny in myself. And when I say that exact example, I'm also talking about from hindsight, because now I can look back and recognize that I was in arrogance, in my imbalance, in my big, huge open heart chakra and deficient little solar plexus and sacral here. I was going around weaponizing my desire to take care of people, weaponizing my love and care for other people in a kind of arrogant place. I was absolutely operating from arrogance and imbalance. And I was judging it so harshly in others. I actually judge it less in others now that I have come to understand it in myself. So I think that's really the idea, is that we are all mirrors for each other, and it's about how you approach that. 24-hour massage, you should message me and we should talk about the reality of that, because I am actively building community out here and looking for people who would like to either join me on land in community out here or help build communities around the country, around the world, in sister communities. Astro Zombie, and that's it. This Western culture perpetuates a lack of self-knowledge. Again, in a culture that relies upon your ignorance, the most radical thing you can do is become self-aware, is become familiar with yourself. Akbar, as Jesus said, I am you and you are me. And as the Mayans said, in Lak'ek, I am another yourself. We are just reflections for each other. We are just drops in the oceans. We are all just different facets on the gem that is creation, that is God, that is all of existence. I love you guys so much. I've got a boogie. I'm going to go eat some food. I'm going to go have a phone call. And apparently I'm going to go check out a fire. I love you all. I will see you in the Discord, or I will see you in coaching. Today's Saturday, so we won't have group coaching again until Tuesday. But if you are interested in group coaching and joining me or joining that level of membership, please get in ASAP, because I am trying to reframe the schedule. So if you want to get into group coaching, or it's something that you're interested in, come into the Discord. At least let me know what works for you. If you're not able to get into it this month, you can get into it next month, but you can still put your word in, your vote in for when we do it. So, see you in Discord. I love you. Am I still thinking about Brazil? Yeah, maybe if we can move all the way down there. Kawaii, you're very welcome. I love you very much, friend. I love you all. Have a great day. All right. Instagram. I love you. Good night. Mwah. YouTube. I love you. Good night.